What would you do if, on your 60th birthday, your own daughter betrayed you in the worst way possible? Laura spent years raising her daughter alone after Charles Gavin left them for another woman. But after a video surfaced of her daughter Allison calling that very woman Mom, Laura's world shattered. What do you do when the child you've sacrificed everything for turns her back on you? Don't miss the emotional roller coaster of betrayal, regret, and eventual realization. My channel's struggling, so if you're intrigued, please comment 1 to help me out. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. Subscribe to see how it ends, and I wish you all good health. On the 10th year of our marriage, Charles Gavin betrayed me. He brought his mistress's 2 children to our home and claimed they were pitiful, that they needed a father. But when our daughter Allison clung to him, tears streaming down her face, begging him not to leave, he never once hesitated. I didn't argue. I divorced Charles, taking Allison with me, always concerned that she might suffer in a new family dynamic. I never remarried. Years passed, and Allison found a partner of her own. My granddaughter, a little joy, brought sweetness into my life. I spent my days caring for her, and in return, life became simple, peaceful, and full. On my 60th birthday, Allison and her husband told me they were too busy with work. My granddaughter had a last-minute tutoring session. They promised to celebrate with me the next day. That evening, while scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon a local video shot in an extravagant hotel dining room. There, I saw my daughter, her husband, and Charles standing together, alongside the 2 children he had once chosen over us. 6 people gathered around a cake, singing happy birthday to the woman he had cheated with all those years ago. And then my daughter, Allison, turned to her and called her Mom. It hit me like a wave. Allison had insisted on making my 60th birthday a grand occasion. I had told her not to go overboard, but she had refused. "I've seen everything you've done for me over the years, Mom," she had said. "This is my way of showing my love. I'll take care of everything." Her words touched my heart deeply. Over the years, I had raised her alone, watched her grow up, get married, and have a child of her own. My son-in-law, Benjamin, was a good man, thoughtful and respectful. He treated me like his own mother. My granddaughter, Lily, was a bright little light in my life, always calling me Grandma in that sweet, gentle voice. I was happy. The pain of Charles's betrayal had faded bit by bit with time. So when Allison insisted on throwing a big celebration, I was moved. I even began to look forward to my birthday. As you grow older, you crave warmth, the laughter of children, the presence of family, something to look forward to. So when the day finally arrived, I couldn't contain my excitement. I woke up early, dressed carefully, and took Lily to school. Allison and Benjamin ate the breakfast I had made before heading off to work. Allison promised they would finish their tasks early and come home to celebrate my birthday. I waited. I kept myself busy, tidying the house while keeping an eye on the clock. But as the time they promised passed and they still hadn't returned, concern crept in. Just as I was about to call Allison, my phone rang. "Mom, something urgent came up at work," Benjamin's voice said. "It's really last minute, we just can't take time off. We might not be able to celebrate your birthday today." I could hear the guilt in Allison's voice. A pang of disappointment shot through me, but I reminded myself their careers were important. I forced a calm tone, reassuring her. "It's all right, work comes first. You two focus on what needs to be done. I'll go pick up Lily from school." "Oh, wait!" Allison suddenly interrupted me. "Mom, it's your birthday. You shouldn't be running around. One of my friends is passing by the school this afternoon, and they'll pick Lily up and bring her to my office. Just stay home and rest, okay?" I hesitated, thinking of how busy Allison had been lately and how young Lily was. "Maybe I should still go. You've got a lot to juggle and Lily's still a handful. She might distract you while you're working." My words seemed to fluster her. She raised her voice, almost snapping. "It's fine. My friend is already on their way, Mom. Please don't worry. Just relax at home. I have another meeting coming up. I have to go now." Before I could respond, she hung up. I stared at my phone, listening to the empty silence on the other end, and let out a quiet sigh. Allison had been so stressed lately, her weight had even dropped. I felt a pang of sympathy for her and Benjamin, so I went into the kitchen to prepare a warm meal, something comforting to nourish them after their long day. By the time dinner was ready, the house was spotless. With nothing left to do, I finally sat down on the couch and pulled out my phone for a little break. At my age, I had grown fond of watching short videos online to pass the time. I scrolled through a few, none of them particularly interesting. Just as I was about to exit the app, my finger accidentally tapped on the Nearby section. And there, on the very first thumbnail, I recognized her instantly. Even from just a glance at the back of her figure, I knew it was my daughter, Allison. The video had been posted just half an hour ago. I clicked on it without hesitation. The setting was a private dining room in a hotel. Allison stood at the table, Benjamin holding Lily's hand beside her. All three of them were smiling. As Allison turned her head slightly, the camera panned to the side, and that's when I saw him. If I had to name the person I hated most in this life, there would be no doubt it was him. We had fallen in love when we were young. I thought we would spend a lifetime together in happiness. Then, in the 10th year of our marriage, his first love's husband died in a tragic car accident, leaving behind a grieving widow and 2 young children. At first, Charles helped them in secret, slipping money their way behind my back. When I found out, we had a terrible fight. His face turned red with fury as he called me heartless. And then, not long after, he stood before me, holding his first love's 2 children in his arms, divorce papers in hand. "Ethan and Olivia are too young," he said. "They need a father." So he was leaving me to be with her, to be a father to their children. Our daughter, Allison, had clung to his leg that day, sobbing uncontrollably, pleading for him to stay. But Charles never hesitated. He turned his back on us and walked away without a second thought. I didn't beg. I took the divorce settlement, more than half of what he owned, and left with Allison. I changed her last name to mine, Colin, for fear that a stepfather might mistreat her. I never remarried. Instead, I devoted myself to raising her, watching her grow, putting her through college, seeing her fall in love, get married, and have little Lily. Through it all, Charles never once appeared in our lives. From what little I heard, he and his first love never had more children. Instead, he poured everything into raising her son and daughter as his own. Allison used to tell me she hated Charles just like I did. I had believed her. I thought that having been old enough to remember the pain of our divorce, she would keep her distance from them, would see them for the poison they were. But now, not only had they been in contact behind my back, but I was watching them stand together in this video, talking, smiling, not a trace of resentment in Allison's eyes. And then she started the song, "Happy Birthday to You." Benjamin clapped along, Lily joining in, her tiny hands keeping rhythm. That pair of children Charles had chosen over us, Ethan and Olivia, stood beside them singing as well. And at the very center of it all, surrounded by them like a queen at court, was her, Charles's first love. She was still radiant, dressed in an elegant gown, a vision of effortless grace. She was pampered, cherished, and celebrated, still living like a princess. I had almost forgotten she and I were born on the same day. But the cruelest thing of everything was that the daughter I had sacrificed my life for stepped forward after the song, wrapped her arm around Vivian and whispered, with a soft, affectionate smile, "Happy birthday, Mom." My phone slipped from my hand and crashed onto the floor, but the video kept playing on loop. My chest tightened with a dull ache, not just from pain, but disbelief. I wanted to find an explanation, something to make this make sense. Allison, my Allison, the daughter who had clung to me since childhood, who had witnessed her father's cruelty firsthand. She had seen how Vivian played the part of the innocent victim, whispering, "I'm sorry," while stepping into my home and tearing my family apart. So how could she possibly call that woman Mom? I sat frozen on the couch, unable to process it, until the sharp, acrid scent of something burning filled my nose. I had left the dinner simmering on the stove. I rushed into the kitchen and turned off the heat. My mind still clouded in my distraction, I reached for the pot without thinking. The scorching metal seared my fingers, leaving a bright red burn across my skin. I was about to run my hand under cold water when the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, a delivery driver stood there holding a cake. A cake I had ordered myself. A small one. Getting older makes you sentimental. After Allison's call, I had placed an order online, just a little cake, something to mark the day. If no one else was going to celebrate with me, I could still celebrate on my own. I set the cake on the coffee table and placed a few candles on top. Pressing my hands together, I closed my eyes and made a wish. I had already decided on my wish earlier. I wished for my Allison to live a life of happiness and ease, for Benjamin to love her wholeheartedly, for my precious Lily to grow up healthy and bright. That was the wish I had planned to make, but now, the moment I shut my eyes, all I could see was Allison lying to me, telling me she had to work late while she, Benjamin, and Lily celebrated Vivian's birthday instead. That video flashed in my mind. Vivian surrounded by them, basking in their love, the warmth of a real family. Like me, alone, sitting in a silent house, like a fool, like a joke. My own flesh and blood, someone I had carried, loved, and sacrificed everything for, had become the knife that cut me the deepest. It hurt too much. Tears spilled down my cheeks before I could stop them. Wiping them away, I made a new wish. I wish that in whatever time I have left, I can live for myself, to be happy, truly happy. For so many years, every wish had been for Allison, for her family, never once for me. And now, looking back, it hadn't been worth it. I took a bite of the cake. It was too sweet, sickeningly rich. I forced down another bite before pushing it aside. I checked the time. It was past 11 o'clock. On any other night, I would have finished tidying the house, tucked Lily into bed, and gone to sleep myself. But tonight, I couldn't sleep. The front door creaked open and Allison tiptoed inside. But the moment she stepped past the threshold, she spotted me sitting in the living room. She froze, her face flashing with panic. Behind her, Benjamin and Lily were still talking about the evening's banquet, until they caught sight of me. Then there was nothing but silence. Lily, ever the little actress, pretended like everything was fine. She blinked her big, innocent eyes, extending her arms toward me. "Grandma, I missed you! Hug me!" She ran toward me, expecting the familiar embrace I had always given her, but this time I didn't lift her up. From the moment Lily was born, I had loved her with the same intensity I once had for Allison, pouring my heart and soul into raising her. Benjamin had no parents, and both he and Allison worked demanding jobs. Life in this city was expensive. So, I had taken care of Lily, giving Allison and Benjamin the freedom to focus on their careers without worry. And yet, even this little girl, just like her mother, had betrayed me. I looked up to see Allison walking toward me, her face composed, as if nothing had happened. She even exaggerated a sigh, rolling her shoulders dramatically. "Work was brutal today," she said. "But don't worry, Mom. We'll celebrate your birthday properly tomorrow." Her gaze fell on the small cake on the coffee table. She paused, her eyes narrowing. "Mom, did you buy this for yourself?" Perhaps it was because the cake was so small, or maybe because the one they had for Vivian had been so much grander, but guilt flickered in her eyes. I couldn't keep playing this game any longer. I looked her in the eye and asked directly, "Allison, where did you go today?" She stiffened, her eyes searching mine, desperate for an answer, but in the end, she chose to play dumb. "What do you mean, Mom? I was at work, of course." She glanced at Benjamin and Lily for backup. Benjamin nodded instantly. "Yeah, Mom. Work was crazy today. I've been on my feet all day. My back's killing me." Lily, eager to mimic her father, shook her head so violently that I wondered how she didn't get dizzy. "Grandma, we didn't eat cake today. We didn't." Her voice trembled. Children are terrible liars. The more they speak, the easier it is to catch them. Allison barely had time to cover Lily's mouth, but it was already too late. She could only manage an awkward smile and try again. "Mom, don't misunderstand. Lily got restless at my office, so I bought her a little cake to keep her busy." The lie was laughably weak. The disappointment in my chest settled heavily, like a stone. Without a word, I pulled out my phone, found the video, and placed it on the table in front of her. She froze, her mouth slightly open as though she were searching for an excuse, but no words came. After a long, defeated sigh, She sank onto the couch beside me, all pretense crumbling. When she finally spoke, there was a sharp defiance in her voice. Mom, it's been so many years. I know you hate Dad, but he's still my father. For your sake, I've barely seen him these years. Haven't I done enough? You're not getting any younger. Why can't you just let it go? And even if you can't, why drag me into it? Every year on your birthday, have I ever not been here for you? Catherine's birthday is on the same day as yours. She never says it, but she wishes our family could be whole again. So, I thought, what's the difference? We all live together, so why not celebrate hers first and yours tomorrow? Mom, you're getting old. Stop being so childish. Benjamin and I work hard every day, and honestly, it's easier for me when I spend time with Dad. But look at you acting like this. Can't you think about me for once? Her words hit me like shards of ice, piercing through my already frozen heart. I studied her carefully. So, you're saying I've been stopping you from reconnecting with your father? She turned her face away, saying nothing. I studied her face more closely. She didn't resemble Charles at all. She had inherited my features, and maybe that was why, after the divorce, Charles had poured all his fatherly love into Vivian's children, especially Olivia. The first time I met Olivia, she was 6 years old, and even then, she looked just like Vivian. Because of that, Charles had adored her. I remembered Allison, heartbroken and confused, sobbing in my arms. Mom, why doesn't Dad want me? Why does he want to be someone else's father? Doesn't he love me anymore? I had held her tightly, her small body trembling with grief, and I thought how cruel it was for my child to have such a heartless father. But now, looking at her, hearing the words she spoke, I realized the cruelest joke was on me. Allison didn't seem to notice the shift in my tone. Instead, she clung to my arm and whined like she always did. Mom, that's not what I meant. But think about it. Dad's old now. No matter what happened in the past, I still carry his blood in my veins. Isn't it time to let go of the resentment? And Vivian, she's actually a really nice person. Back then, she took Dad away because she was worried about her siblings growing up without a father. But she apologized to me, Mom. She even buys me gifts and treats me like her own daughter. So why keep holding on to something that happened so long ago? You're old now, too. Why not just move on? I stared at her, unable to suppress the bitter laugh that bubbled up in my throat. Charles, the father who had abandoned her without a second thought. She had spent countless nights crying in my arms, asking why he didn't want her. And Vivian, the woman who had destroyed our family, just because she bought a few gifts, Allison had so easily forgiven her. I yanked my arm away. So, Allison, in your eyes, I'm just being unreasonable for not forgiving Charles and Vivian. Allison nodded, her expression matter of fact. Well, yeah, I was just a kid back then. Any anger I had has long faded. When I close my eyes now, all I remember are the happy times, how good Dad was to me when I was little. Mom, I want us to be a family again. Can't you see that Catherine is actually really nice? Maybe the two of you could even be like sisters. Before she could finish, my hand struck her across the face. She let out a sharp cry, stumbling back as she clutched her cheek. Then she glared at me, her voice rising in fury. Mom, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you hit me? No wonder Dad preferred Vivian. She's gentle and sweet, not some bitter old woman who can't let go. Tears welled up in her eyes, and before I could say another word, she turned and ran into her room sobbing. Benjamin and Lily rushed after her, their voices hurried with concern. The door wasn't fully closed, and I could still hear their muffled whispers from inside. She's getting senile, hanging on to some ancient grudge forever. No wonder she got dumped. What a cranky old hag. And more words spoken by the daughter I had loved for half my life. At that moment, something inside me finally broke. I stood up, went to my room, and began packing my things. For years, Allison and Benjamin had worked hard, but with housing prices so high, they were still paying off their mortgage. I had felt sorry for them, so every month I helped cover their expenses, not just their mortgage, but also utilities, groceries, even Lily's art lessons. I paid for it all, but now that I was leaving, I wouldn't be giving them another cent. Whether they could afford their home without my support, that was no longer my concern. What Allison didn't know was that I had another property, one I had never told anyone about. I had bought it long ago, just in case. I had been wary of Benjamin, afraid that one day he might betray Allison the way Charles had betrayed me. So I kept the house in my name, planning to leave it to Allison after I was gone. But now that was unnecessary. That house would be my refuge. With my remaining savings, I could live comfortably on my own. When I stepped out of my room, Allison was still crying. The small cake on the coffee table sat untouched, the candles never lit. Everything looked so pitiful, so I grabbed my suitcase and without hesitation, I walked out the door. By the time I settled in, it was already 3 o'clock in the morning. I took a shower and lay down in bed. When I checked my phone, there wasn't a single missed call, not one unread message. She was my daughter, the child I had raised for over 20 years, and yet nothing. The thought made my heart ache, but maybe pain was a good thing. It would stop me from second-guessing myself, from foolishly convincing myself to turn back. I canceled my usual morning alarm. Then I turned off the lights, pulled the blanket over me, and pushed all unnecessary thoughts from my mind. I didn't sleep well. My dreams kept pulling me back to the past, to the years when Allison and I had only each other. Back when Charles was determined to divorce me. Even though I walked away with most of his wealth, Allison was still too young. The betrayal had shattered her little world. She was so traumatized that she couldn't even go to school for a while. I had no choice but to quit my job and stay home with her. She was restless at night, waking up screaming from nightmares, crying out for her father, for me, begging us not to leave her. So I would hold her close, humming the lullaby I used to sing when she was little, sitting by her side for the entire night. By morning, her breathing would be steady, her face peaceful, and I, my back sore, my arms numb from holding her, would struggle to move. Back then, Allison would notice my discomfort. She would take my hand in her tiny fingers and start massaging my arm, whispering, "Mommy, I'll make it better. I'll make the pain go away." She was such a sweet child. I let out a long breath and opened my eyes, picking up my phone to check the time. Even though I had canceled my alarm, years of habit woke me up at the usual hour. On any other morning, I would have gone straight to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. Then I'd wake Lily, who always refused to get up right away, preferring to roll around in bed while I coaxed and carried her. I'd help her wash up, braid her hair into neat little pigtails, and sit her down for breakfast. Once she was fed, I'd take her to preschool. By the time I got back home, Allison and Benjamin would have already eaten and left for work. Then I would start cleaning up, washing the dishes, tidying the house. My entire day revolved around them. I never had a moment to myself. But now I got up and only needed to make breakfast for myself. After eating, I decided to take a walk around the neighborhood, a slow, peaceful stroll with a bit of jogging mixed in. It was the kind of unhurried, comfortable life I had been craving. But before I could even finish my walk, Allison's calls began flooding in. I ignored the first, then the second, then the third. By the time the 5th call came through, my finger accidentally brushed the screen, connecting the call. I didn't put her on speaker, but Allison's voice was so loud it hardly mattered. "Mom, where the hell did you go? All night? You're not some teenager who just runs off like that. And Lily, do you even care that she almost missed school? You didn't make breakfast. How are we supposed to go to work on empty stomachs? Do you even realize how important my meeting is today? I can't afford to be late." Each word felt like an accusation, as if it had always been my responsibility to take care of them. I didn't say anything, but Allison wasn't done yet. "All I asked was for you to help out a little, watch Lily, cook some meals, clean the house. You're living with us for free, Mom, while Benjamin and I work ourselves to exhaustion. You get to enjoy a carefree life at home, and now you're just going to disappear? Do you have any idea how selfish you're being?" "Selfish?" I let out a quiet laugh, barely able to hold it in. This was my daughter, the one I had sacrificed my entire life for, and she couldn't even see it. She never had. Maybe yesterday I would have still felt a twinge of sorrow, perhaps even held on to some lingering attachment after all those years of depending on each other. But now all I felt was disappointment. "Allison," I said, my voice calm but firm, "I may have lived in your home, But the mortgage payments, the groceries, the bills, they all came from my money. I took care of your home, your child, your whole life. And if you think that's me living an easy life, then from now on, you can handle it all yourself. As for me, since you no longer want me as your mother, I no longer need you as my daughter. And with that, I ended the call, not giving her a chance to respond. But the conversation still left a bitter taste in my mouth. So, I went home, changed into something nice, and decided to go shopping. For years, I had poured all my time and money into Allison and her family. I rarely went to the mall, never bought anything for myself. But now, the burden was lifted and my savings were more than enough for me to live comfortably. So, why not? Why not buy some beautiful clothes, some accessories? Why not embrace being a stylish, carefree little old lady? It didn't sound half bad. I hadn't expected that on the one day I finally allowed myself to enjoy a stress-free shopping trip, I'd run into him. He was walking side by side with Vivian, and the two of them stepped into a store right in my path. The moment Charles saw me, he looked uneasy, quickly turning his gaze away. Catherine, however, greeted me with a broad, smug smile, just as insufferable as ever. "Oh, Laura, what a surprise to see you here. Shopping for clothes, too?" Her voice was loud, deliberately drawing attention. She looked me up and down, then shook her head with a dramatic sigh. "Goodness, you're always so busy taking care of the house and the kids. Even if you buy something nice, when will you ever have time to wear it?" Then, leaning in slightly, her voice dropped into a mock whisper, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Or have you finally set your sights on some old man and decided to dress up a bit?" A few nearby shoppers turned, intrigued by the obvious provocation. People loved gossip, but if Vivian thought she could humiliate me in public, she was in for a surprise. I smiled, watching as more eyes turned our way, then let out a dramatic gasp. "Oh, but how could I ever compare to you, Vivian? The way you threw yourself into my husband's arms right after your own passed away, with your 2 kids in tow, of course. With a talent like that, how could I ever hope to compete?" The effect was immediate. The store fell into stunned silence as realization spread. A woman near the entrance gasped, "Oh, so she's an old homewrecker." "Nah." Catherine's face turned beet red. Charles stepped forward, his jaw clenched. "Laura, that's enough!" I turned, gesturing toward him as I addressed the crowd. "Everyone, meet the man who left his own daughter behind because someone else's kids needed a father more. He abandoned his own child without looking back, but was more than happy to play daddy to someone else's. And guess what? Those kids still only call him uncle." That last part hit deep. It was a wound Charles had never been able to heal. Even after all these years, even after raising Vivian's children like his own, they had never acknowledged him as their father. Now, being called out in public, he could do nothing but stand there, his face dark with anger, fists clenched at his sides. The laughter around us grew. Someone muttered, "What a fool." Another snickered, "Talk about being a doormat." Vivian's fury was visible in every tense muscle of her face, but instead of arguing, she grabbed Charles's arm, yanking him toward the exit. And just then, as if fate had a twisted sense of humor, Allison appeared. She was coming off work, walking through the mall when she spotted Vivian. "Vivian, what's wrong?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. The frustration and anger that had consumed Vivian just moments ago instantly melted away as she straightened her posture, shifting into a pitiful stance. Then she turned to me with a sigh. "Oh, it's nothing. Your mother's still upset with me, that's all. I suppose I shouldn't have asked you to celebrate my birthday with me." Her voice was soft, filled with just the right amount of sadness. Allison's eyes snapped to me, her lips pressing into a thin line. Still upset from our fight earlier, she didn't hesitate to take Vivian's hand, turning on me with an accusatory glare. "Mom, do you have to keep throwing a tantrum like this? Just look at Vivian. She's kind, gentle, and understanding. Meanwhile, you're always so bitter and angry. Do you really wonder why Dad chose her over you?" Her words were a dagger straight to my heart. I raised my hand and slapped her. She gasped, stumbling back as her hand flew to her cheek, eyes wide with shock. "Mom, you hit me again!" I stared at her. at the daughter I had loved more than life itself. And yet, looking at her now, I felt nothing but emptiness. It was a cold, detached realization, the final severing of the last thread that had kept me tethered to her. This girl, this woman, she was no longer my child. So I reached out and shoved her, pushed her toward Vivian and Charles. If you love them so much, then go ahead. Call them Mom and Dad. I have no interest in being your mother anymore. Allison let out a sharp laugh, looping her arm through Vivian's as if to spite me. Fine! Who needs a mother like you anyway? Vivian is a better mom than you ever were. At least she knows how to let go of the past instead of wallowing in it like some bitter old hag. She turned to Charles and Vivian. I'm coming home with you tonight. We're going to have a real family dinner, not sit around sulking over things that happened decades ago. As she spoke, she moved too quick, and something fell out of her pocket. A driver's license. The sound of it hitting the floor was soft, but instinct made me glance down. The ID had landed face up, the photo recent, the name clearly printed, Allison Spencer. I froze. Allison followed my gaze. Then, as if suddenly remembering what had happened, she hesitated. There was a flicker of guilt in her expression, but she quickly masked it, brushing a hand over her nose. What? It's just a name. Isn't it normal for kids to take their father's surname? Dad doesn't have any other children carrying his name. I was just making things right. Do you really have to make a big deal out of this too? Even though I hadn't said a word, her irritation grew, her voice laced with annoyance. But I barely heard her. I just stood there, staring at the name. Once she had begged me to change her last name. I don't want Dad anymore, she had sobbed, curled up in my arms. It's just us now, Mommy. We're the only family we need. I want to have your last name so we can always be together. Now she was Allison Spencer. She had erased the last remaining tie between us. I lifted my hand and waved her off. My voice was calm, devoid of emotion. Do whatever you want. Your name, your life, it has nothing to do with me anymore. As I had finally made my decision, I was done being her mother. She had long become an adult now. If this was her choice, then let it be. I would not let anyone bothering me ever again. On the way home, I blocked Allison's number. Every contact, every connection severed. Then I checked my savings, glanced at my recently deposited returns from my investment fund, and immediately booked a group tour online. For years, I had poured everything into Allison. So many beautiful places in the world, I had never seen them. She used to promise me, when I grow up, Mom. When I graduate, Mom. When I find a job, Mom. When I get married, Mom. When I have kids, Mom. When the kids grow up, Mom. I waited year after year, promise after promise, but that day never came. Good thing, though, I didn't need to wait anymore. I saw mountains. I stood by the ocean. I breathed in fresh air without worrying about getting home in time to cook dinner. And I met Vanessa. She was in the same travel group as me. Like me, she had spent her whole life dedicated to her family. Her only wish had been to travel, to see the world with her husband and children, but they called her selfish. At your age, you should be home taking care of the grandkids, they scolded. What's a woman your age running around for? Have some shame. So heartbroken, she took her savings, cut off all contact, and set out on a journey of her own. We hit it off instantly. Same regrets, same disappointments. So we played, we laughed, and before parting ways, we exchanged numbers, promising to meet again for another trip. But happiness never comes without a little trouble. In our group, there was a man, a year older than me. His wife had passed away years ago. His children were grown, married, and had kids of their own. Life was good, he said, but a house without a woman in it? It gets lonely. The moment he learned I was divorced, his eyes practically lit up. Laura, we should partner up. You don't have a husband, I don't have a wife. Why not? I'll hand over my savings to you. You won't have to do much, just cook, clean, take care of me, maybe help with the grandkids when my children get busy. It's an easy life. I ignored him, but he didn't get the message. When I finally dragged my suitcase through the door and barely had time to unpack, there he was standing on my doorstep holding a huge bouquet of red roses. Laura, think about it. he said, flashing what he likely thought was a charming smile. "We're both getting old. I'm still a handsome guy, you know. Walking around with me would make you look good. And come on, you've been alone for years. Aren't you lonely?" I took a deep breath. 20 years ago, I would have grabbed a broom and chased him off my property, but now, at my age, I was more concerned about hurting my back than landing a punch. "I said I called the police." As the officers escorted him away, he whined the entire time. "Laura, don't be so heartless. Don't you have feelings for me? I'm still in my 60s. That's young. Just think about it." I had thought about it, and I'd had enough. So, without a second thought, I grabbed the trash bag sitting by my door and threw it straight at him. Allison's voice cut through the air before I even saw her approaching. "Mom, what are you doing here?" She hurried over, her eyes darting between my face and the man still struggling in the officer's grip. Then, as if a realization hit her, she pointed at me in shock. "You were actually trying to get yourself a new husband? A stepfather for me? What the hell were you thinking?" Her voice cracked with anger, her words sharp as daggers. She spun around and swung her purse at the man, hitting him over and over while screaming at him to leave. "Are you out of your mind, Mom? You're at the age where any man interested in you is obviously after your money, and you actually fell for it like some clueless idiot." Once the old man was gone, she turned back to me, her expression hard as stone. Then she glanced over my shoulder, her eyes narrowing as they landed on the house behind me. "So, this is what you've been up to," she sneered. "Ignoring my calls for months, renting a place, living the good life?" Her lips curled in disgust as she continued. "Must be nice, running away from responsibilities while I'm stuck here working, raising a kid, drowning in housework. You just disappeared, leaving me to do everything. And what do you do instead? Flirt with some random old man? Wow, what a great mother you are." Her voice was thick with mockery. I stared at her, my gaze as cold as ice. "The last time we met, I made myself clear. If you prefer Vivian so much, then go be her daughter. I'm done. I have no interest in being your mother anymore. And as for your house and your problems, none of that is my responsibility. Understand?" She blinked, the weight of my words sinking in. She hadn't expected this, hadn't thought I'd truly mean it. "What do you mean, not your mother? I came from your body. Whether you like it or not, I'm still your daughter." She crossed her arms and glared at me, a look of defiance on her face. "Now stop being ridiculous and come home. The house is a mess. The bills are piling up. You were the one paying the mortgage. You were the one covering the utilities. Benjamin and I don't make much, and we have a kid to raise. We haven't saved a single penny since you left. This is your fault." And just like that, my hand flew across her face. "Get out." I was done, completely and utterly done. I turned, walking back toward my house, unwilling to waste another second listening to her nonsense. Behind me, she stomped her foot in frustration. "Mom, can you hear yourself? All I did was tell the truth, and you hit me again. No wonder Dad didn't want you." My steps halted. Slowly, I turned back around. She met my gaze smugly, raising an eyebrow, thinking she had won, thinking I would finally give in. So I picked up the second trash bag I hadn't thrown out yet and hurled it right at her head. "Allison," I said calmly, "Charles divorced me because he was blind and an idiot. But you're his flesh and blood, and he still threw you away for children who weren't even his. So tell me, between the two of us, who's really the joke?" There was a flicker of something in her eyes, maybe anger, maybe shame, but I didn't care. I turned my back to her again, ready to walk away for good. Just as she opened her mouth to hurl more words at me, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen, irritated before answering, but the moment she heard the voice on the other end, she gasped. "What? The house is on fire!" Without another word, she spun around and ran. The woman who had come with her hesitated before chasing after her, shouting, "Miss Spencer, are we still looking at houses today?" Benjamin's parents had passed away long ago, so after he and Allison got married and had Lily, I moved in with them. I took care of their child, managed their household for years. That neighborhood had been my home, and I had made many friends there, especially Zoe. Zoe was the community's unofficial news channel. If something happened, she was always the first to know, and she never kept it to herself. So unsurprisingly, within half an hour of the fire at Allison's house, Zoe was video calling me. We had always gotten along well. Even after I moved away, she would check in from time to time, reminding me that if I ever needed help, I only had to ask. So I picked up. The moment the call connected, Zoe's grinning face filled the screen. She turned the camera, pointing it at Allison's burned-out apartment window. "Laura, your ungrateful daughter finally got what was coming to her," she laughed, then launched into a full report on everything that had gone down these past few months. Apparently, after I left, Allison couldn't find me. Between that and the multiple slaps I had given her, she had been fuming, and fueled by that resentment, she had gotten even closer to Vivian. Now, Catherine's 2 children weren't exactly what you'd call decent human beings. Ethan was a good-for-nothing, never liked school, never liked working, spent his days loafing around doing nothing. Olivia, no better. She wasn't interested in working either. Her goal in life was to find a rich man and marry up. So when Vivian saw that Allison had managed to buy a big house, even if it was still under mortgage, she figured that was good enough. And just like that, she dumped her 2 kids on Allison. "Since we're all one family now," Vivian had said, "they should spend more time together." And of course, Ethan and Olivia had no shame. They started showing up at Allison's place every other day empty-handed when they arrived with an armful of food and alcohol. When they left, Ethan even started inviting his gang of low-life friends over for parties, turning the house into a disaster zone. Benjamin had put his foot down. He and Allison had fought over it, but Ethan didn't give a damn. And then came tonight. Ethan had snuck his friends over again. They got drunk. One of them passed out on the couch, cigarettes still burning between his fingers, right next to an open bottle of alcohol. A single careless movement. The cigarette dropped, the liquor spilled, and just like that, the whole house went up in flames. Benjamin had just come home from work when he saw thick black smoke billowing from the windows. Ethan, the bastard, ran outside first, and when he saw Benjamin, did he show even an ounce of shame? He cursed him out, blamed him for having a crappy house, said it was Benjamin's fault that he had almost died, and get this, demanded that Benjamin pay him compensation. Benjamin lost it. A full-blown fight broke out right there in the street. Neighbors came to break it up, but neither man would back down. Then Allison arrived. The moment she stepped into the chaos, Benjamin and Ethan stopped fighting each other and turned on her instead. Together, they ripped into her, throwing blame from all directions, cursing her out like she was the root of all evil. And once the screaming match ended, the house was burnt completely unlivable. With no other options, Allison tried going to Charles's place, her dear, loving father, the one she had so proudly chosen over me. And what did Charles do? Told her there was no room and shut the door in her face. The entire neighborhood had gathered outside their homes, watching the mess unfold like it was primetime entertainment. And Zoe? Zoe had her camera pointed right at them, giving me a live broadcast of my daughter's downfall. I watched as Allison stood there, lost, helpless, the perfect picture of karma finally catching up. At the end of the call, Zoe let out a satisfied sigh and said, "Evil people always meet their match. Don't you dare feel sorry for her, Laura. A daughter like that isn't worth it." I nodded. There wasn't a single trace of pity in me. Not anymore. As I watched the chaos unfold on my screen, I didn't feel heartbreak. I didn't feel sorry for them. I only felt that life had never been more ironic. In the end, Allison won. She had fought tooth and nail, stubbornly clinging to her choice, dragging her family into Charles's home just to prove that she hadn't made a mistake. But she had no idea that this decision would ruin her. As for me, after that video call with Zoe, I stopped paying attention to Allison's life. I had better things to do. Recently, I found a new hobby: pottery. There was something deeply soothing about shaping soft clay into delicate figures, molding it into something beautiful. I had been going to the workshop for several days in a row, and wouldn't you know it, right next to the pottery studio was a hotel. The day I finished firing my latest piece, I stepped outside, hands still warm from the kiln, and walked right into the middle of another disaster. Right in front of the hotel entrance, Allison and standing opposite her, looking disheveled, half-dressed and entirely unashamed Olivia. Benjamin wasn't there. Allison's voice was raw, shaking with disbelief. "We've been married for 7 years. I gave birth to your daughter. How could you? How could you do this to me?" She was shouting, her voice breaking, clutching Lily's tiny hand in a grip so tight that the child looked frightened. Olivia didn't even bother fixing her clothes properly. She had never been one to care about appearances. Years of chasing after rich men had left her completely unbothered by shame. Even now, in front of the growing crowd, she smirked and leaned into Benjamin's arms, making herself comfortable. "Oh, Allison, come on. You've turned into a frumpy old housewife. No job, no social life, just stuck at home wiping snot and cleaning up after the brat all day. How could Benjamin not get sick of you?" Then she tilted her head flirtatiously, batting her lashes at Benjamin. "Tell me, baby, would you rather be stuck with her or be with me?" Allison's body trembled. She looked at Benjamin, desperate, still searching for something, an explanation, a reason, a denial. But Benjamin didn't even flinch. He scoffed. "Why are you making such a big deal out of this, Allison? You should have stayed home with the kid. What man doesn't cheat?" Then he sneered. "Your own father did it, didn't he? He left your mom and ran off with another woman. And you," he jabbed a finger at her, "forgave him. Hell, you even started calling that woman Mom, sis. So if you could accept it back then, why the hell can't you accept it now?" Allison's face went deathly pale. She shook her head over and over. "Benjamin, how could you say that? How could you say that?" She lunged for him, trying to hit him, but Benjamin merely shoved her aside. He tightened his arms around Olivia, looking down at Allison as if she were nothing but a pathetic joke. "Allison, let's not kid ourselves. Did you really think your father took you back because he loved you? Please, if I hadn't been making good money and bought that house, he wouldn't have given you a second glance. The only reason he accepted you again was because he wanted more money for Ethan and Olivia. And you," he let out a dry laugh, "you fell for it like an idiot. But hey, at least you did one thing right." He ran a hand down Olivia's back. "Olivia's a lot more fun than you, so let's cut the act and get divorced. I don't want the kid. You take her. We'll split the money and go our separate ways. And since you were so supportive of your mother's fate, I'm sure you won't mind following in her footsteps, right?" One blow after another, each word stabbing into Allison's chest like a knife. Her hands clenched into fists, her entire body trembling violently. Tears streamed down her face, her breathing ragged, on the verge of completely breaking apart. Meanwhile, Olivia simply smirked. She casually flipped her hair before bending down to look at Lily. "Sweetheart," she cooed, "don't you think your mommy's overreacting? Grown-ups do this kind of thing all the time. She's making such a fuss over nothing." Allison's head snapped up, eyes wide with fury. "Don't touch my daughter!" She lunged forward, yanking Lily away, but in her panic, her grip was too rough, too tight. Lily screamed, tears welled in her little eyes as she fought against Allison, her tiny hands slapping at her arms. "You're a bad mommy! I don't want you!" Allison froze. "Lily," she choked, "I'm your mother. I gave birth to you. I raised you. How can you say that?" She lifted her hand whether to grab her, to scold her, to discipline her, but before she could, Lily bit down on her wrist hard. Allison gasped in pain, and Lily ran straight into Olivia's arms. Then she turned and glared at Allison, face scrunched up in anger. "You're always mean to me. I don't want you. I want Olivia to be my mommy." Silence. Everything stopped. Allison stood there shaking, eyes glassy with shock. And then her gaze met mine. For a single moment, time seemed to freeze. Her face twisted into something unreadable pain, realization. Maybe, just maybe, for the first time, she understood the cruel, unforgiving irony of it all. She had become me. Everything she had done to me, every wound, every betrayal, had come back. And now, she was the one being cast aside, just like she had once cast me aside. After an entire day of gathering information, Zoe flooded my phone with dozens of messages. Most of them only confirmed what I had already seen firsthand. Since their house burned down, Allison, Benjamin, and Lily had been staying at Charles's place, but the tension between Allison and Benjamin had been simmering for a while. Without me around, there was no one to handle the school drop-offs and pickups. In the end, Allison had quit her job to stay home with Lily full-time. Meanwhile, Olivia set her sights on Benjamin's income. One thing led to another flirtation, temptation, until they eventually fell into bed together. And Charles and Vivian? They knew, and they helped cover it up. Even Lily had walked in on them a few times, but a lollipop was enough to buy her silence. Allison lost everything. Benjamin left her for Olivia. Her home was gone. Charles and Vivian offered her nothing, not even a place to stay. But worst of all, Lily, her own daughter, screamed and cried to stay with Olivia, refusing to return to Allison. She had been utterly destroyed. At first, she couldn't accept it. She went to Charles, but he avoided her like she was a stranger. "You're an adult now," he said coldly. "Figure it out yourself." She turned to Vivian, the woman she had once called Mom with so much warmth, but this time Vivian wouldn't even let her through the door. Her voice was icy and dismissive. "I only recognized Ethan and Olivia as my children. You're nothing but an outsider." Finally, the truth hit her. She had never been family, only a pawn. She wandered the streets, broken and lost, until she remembered there was still one place left to go, her mother's house. That night, Allison stood outside my door, exhausted, hesitant. Maybe she had finally realized the extent of her cruelty. She had lied to me, betrayed me, taken my love for granted, even stood before me and mocked me. But now, she had nothing. Her hands trembled as she pressed the doorbell. When I finally opened the door, there was no surprise, no anger, just calm. Allison opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her throat was dry, and before she could stop herself, tears welled up in her eyes. "Mom, I was wrong." I didn't answer right away. I simply looked at her. What was I supposed to feel? Bitterness? Sadness? Satisfaction? Or nothing at all? But then memories of a much younger Allison surfaced of the years when it was just the two of us. I let the silence stretch, then spoke at last. "Wrong about what?" Her breath hitched, and she bit her lip, trying to hold back her sobs. "I shouldn't have lied to you. I shouldn't have stood by their side. I shouldn't have hurt you. I shouldn't have just assumed you'd always forgive me. I should never have ignored everything you did for me." She went on, confessing every mistake, apologizing over and over as though sheer regret could rewrite the past. I let her speak, never interrupting. When she fell silent, I said nothing. Instead, I stepped aside, offering her space to enter. "Come in." From that night on, Allison never forced my forgiveness. She knew she had lost that right. The only thing she could do was prove herself. She moved in quietly, without protest, without complaint. She didn't demand that I love her the way I once had. Instead, she started learning how to cook, how to clean, how to listen, how to care for me as I had once cared for her. She no longer expected me to welcome her with open arms. She simply stayed. As the days passed, so did the walls I had built. I still acted cold, still kept my distance, but the resentment I once felt wasn't as strong as before. One morning, after returning from a walk, I passed by a bakery. On a whim, I bought a box of Allison's favorite pastries. I didn't say anything when I placed them on the table, just left them there. But when she saw them, her hands trembled and fresh tears filled her eyes. Maybe I hadn't truly forgiven her. Maybe I never would. But at least I was willing to give her a chance. Years later, Allison had rebuilt her life. She had found stability in her work, regained her independence, and eventually moved into a small apartment of her own, not too far away. She still visited me regularly, bringing fresh flowers, homemade treats, walking with me in the evenings. For the first time, our relationship was no longer one-sided, no longer just me giving and her taking. We had found a balance. That day, she arrived with a tray of homemade cupcakes. As she placed them on the table, I took a bite and nodded slightly. "Not bad." Across from me, Allison's lips curved into a soft, genuine smile. We knew we could never go back to what we once were, but at least we still had a future ahead of us. What do you do when the person you loved the most betrays you, only to come back years later, broken and asking for forgiveness? Laura spent years raising her daughter alone, loving her unconditionally after her husband Charles left them for another woman. For decades, she kept her heart open for Allison, pouring everything into their relationship, only to find that, on her 60th birthday, Allison had chosen the very people who had torn their family apart. The video of Allison celebrating with Charles and his new family shattered Laura's heart, but it wasn't just the betrayal that hurt. It was the realization that her daughter had moved on without a second thought for the woman who had sacrificed everything for her. When Allison finally came to Laura, admitting her mistakes, it wasn't about an apology, it was about understanding. She had to prove herself, not just with words, but with actions. And Laura, despite the pain, allowed her to try. But the question remains, was it enough? Could Laura forgive her daughter after everything? Maybe the most important lesson here is that sometimes forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about finding peace for yourself. What do you think? Could you ever forgive someone who hurt you like that? Or would you walk away completely? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.
The biting cold seeps through my bones as I shuffle towards the front door, my arthritic hands trembling. Who could be knocking at this ungodly hour, in the middle of a raging blizzard? I crack open the door, and my heart shatters. There, shivering on my doorstep, is Theo, my precious grandson. His tear-stained face is pale, his lips tinged blue. "Grandma," he whimpers, "I'm so cold and hungry." I usher him inside, my mind reeling. "Theo, sweetheart, what are you doing here? Where are your parents?" He looks up at me, his eyes filled with a pain no child should know. They told me to wait in the car, but it was so cold, Grandma. I waited for hours, but they never came back. Anger boils in my veins, but I push it down. Right now, Theo needs me. I wrap him in a warm embrace, feeling his small body tremble against mine. "It's okay, darling, you're safe now. Let's get you warmed up and fed." As I prepare a steaming bowl of chicken soup, Theo sits at the kitchen table, his thin shoulders hunched. The sight breaks my heart. How could Marla and Jonah do this to their own child? "Here you go, sweetheart. Eat up." I place the bowl in front of him, and he devours it like he hasn't eaten in days. Perhaps he hasn't. "Grandma," he says between spoonfuls, "I don't want to go back. They forget about me. I'm always alone." Tears sting my eyes, but I blink them away. I need to be strong for Theo. "You don't have to go back, darling. You can stay with me as long as you need." As I tuck Theo into bed that night, his small hand clutches mine. "I love you, Grandma," he whispers, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. "I love you too, Theo. More than anything." Long after he drifts off to sleep, I sit in the darkness, my mind churning. How could I have let this happen? I knew Marla and Jonah were irresponsible, but this is unforgivable. I think back to when Marla was growing up, how I poured my heart and soul into raising her. But somewhere along the way, she changed. She became distant, entitled. She met Jonah, and things only got worse. They'd show up at my door, demanding money, claiming they were struggling. But I saw through their lies. Designer clothes, fancy cars, lavish vacations. They were living the high life while their son suffered. I tried to reason with them, to make them see the error of their ways. But they brushed me off, mocking my concerns. "You're just a bitter old woman," Marla sneered. "You don't understand our lives." But I understand all too well. I've seen the pain in Theo's eyes, the longing for love and attention, and I'll be damned if I let it continue. As the blizzard rages on outside, I make a silent vow. I will protect Theo, no matter the cost. I will give him the love and stability he deserves, and I will make Marla and Jonah pay for their neglect. They may have forgotten their responsibilities, but I will not forget this injustice. The storm inside me is just beginning, and I will not rest until Theo is safe and his parents face the consequences of their actions. I wake up to the sound of Theo's soft snores, his small body curled up beside me. The events of last night flood back, and I feel a fresh wave of anger wash over me. How could Marla, my own daughter, neglect her child like this? As I make breakfast, my mind drifts to the past. I remember the day Marla was born, the joy and love that filled my heart. I devoted my life to raising her, sacrificing my own dreams to ensure she had every opportunity. But as she grew older, something changed. She became distant, always demanding more. More money, more attention, more freedom. I tried to guide her, to teach her the value of hard work and responsibility, but she pushed me away. "You're suffocating me," she'd scream. "I'm an adult now. I don't need you telling me what to do." When she met Jonah, I had hoped he would be a stabilizing force in her life, but he was just as reckless and irresponsible as she was. They'd come to me, begging for money, spinning tales of hardship and struggle. At first, I believed them. I gave them what I could, even when it meant sacrificing my own comfort. But then I started to notice the signs, the expensive clothes, the flashy gadgets, the constant partying. I confronted them, my voice shaking with anger and disappointment. "How can you live like this?" I asked. "What about Theo? What about your responsibilities?" Marla laughed, a cruel, mocking sound. "Responsibilities? We're young, Mom. We deserve to have fun. Theo's fine. He's got a roof over his head and food in his belly. What more does he need?" I was stunned, my heart breaking at her callous words. "He needs love, Marla. He needs his parents." Jonah stepped forward, his face twisted in a sneer. "Love doesn't pay the bills, old woman. We're doing the best we can. If you're so concerned, why don't you take him?" I opened my mouth to respond, but they were already walking away, their laughter echoing in the air. That was the last time I saw them, until last night when Theo showed up at my door, shivering and alone. A small hand tugs at my sleeve, pulling me from my thoughts. "Grandma, I'm hungry." I smiled down at Theo, pushing away the painful memories. "Of course, sweetheart. Let's get you some breakfast." As we eat, I watch Theo, taking in his thin frame and the shadows under his eyes. He's been through so much, more than any child should have to bear. "Theo," I say softly, "I want you to know that you can always come to me. No matter what, I will always be here for you." He looks up at me, his eyes filled with a wisdom beyond his years. "I know, Grandma, you're the only one who cares about me." Those words, spoken with such certainty, break my heart all over again, but they also fuel my determination. I will not let Marla and Jonah continue to neglect their son. I will not let Theo suffer any longer. I may be just a retired school teacher, but I have a lifetime of experience and a grandmother's love on my side. I will gather the evidence I need, no matter how long it takes. I will fight for Theo's future, even if it means going against my own daughter. Marla and Jonah may have forgotten what it means to be a parent, but I will never forget what it means to be a grandmother, and I will do whatever it takes to give Theo the life he deserves. Days turn into weeks, and Theo starts to open up to me. We spend our evenings curled up on the couch, watching his favorite movies and sharing stories. It's during one of these moments that he begins to talk about his life with Marla and Jonah. "They always forget about me," he says, his voice barely a whisper. "They leave me alone for hours, sometimes days. I get so hungry, Grandma." My heart clenches, and I pull him closer. "What do you do when you're hungry, sweetheart?" He shrugs, his small shoulders heavy with burden. "I try to find food in the kitchen, but there's never much. Mommy and Daddy buy lots of stuff for themselves, but they forget to buy food for me." Anger boils inside me, but I keep my voice steady. "What kind of stuff do they buy, Theo?" "Lots of clothes and shiny things. Daddy always has a new watch or a new phone, and Mommy buys so many shoes and bags. But when I ask for new clothes or toys, they say we don't have money." I close my eyes, trying to calm the rage that threatens to consume me. How can they be so selfish, so negligent? "Theo, I want you to know that what they're doing is wrong. You deserve so much better, and I'm going to make sure you get it." He looks up at me, his eyes filled with a tentative hope. "Really, Grandma? You promise?" "I promise, sweetheart, I won't let them hurt you anymore." That night, as Theo sleeps, I start to plan. I know I need evidence, solid proof of Marla and Jonah's neglect. I can't just make accusations without backing them up. I start to keep a journal, documenting every detail Theo shares with me. Every missed meal, every lonely night, every broken promise. It breaks my heart to write it all down, but I know it's necessary. I also begin to track their spending, using the skills I learned as a school teacher to create detailed spreadsheets. Designer clothes, expensive gadgets, lavish vacations, all while their son goes hungry and neglected. Weeks turn into months, and my evidence grows. Theo starts to thrive under my care, his laughter filling the house once more. He excels in school, makes new friends, and discovers a love for painting. but the shadow of his parents' neglect still hangs over him. He has nightmares, waking up screaming in the middle of the night. He flinches at loud noises and unexpected touches. The scars they've left on his heart will take time to heal. One evening, as we're sitting at the dinner table, Theo looks up at me with a seriousness that breaks my heart. "Grandma, do you think Mommy and Daddy love me?" I reach across the table, taking his small hand in mine. "I think they love you in their own way, Theo, but sometimes people make bad choices. They forget what's really important." He nods, his eyes filled with a wisdom beyond his years. "I'm glad I have you, Grandma. You always remember what's important." Tears fill my eyes and I squeeze his hand. "And I always will, sweetheart. I will always put you first. Always." That night, as I tuck Theo into bed, I make a silent promise. I will confront Marla and Jonah. I will make them see the error of their ways. And if they don't change, if they don't step up and be the parents Theo deserves, I will take action. I may be just a grandmother, but I have the power of love and the strength of determination on my side. And I will use every ounce of it to protect my grandson and give him the life he deserves. The day I've been dreading finally arrives. Marla and Jonah show up at my doorstep, their faces etched with same entitled smirks I've come to despise. They breeze past me into the living room, not even bothering to ask about Theo. "We need money, Mom," Marla says, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Jonah lost his job and we're struggling to make ends meet. I stare at her, incredulous. "You're struggling? What about Theo? Do you have any idea what he's been through?" Jonah scoffs, rolling his eyes. "Oh, please. The kid's fine. He's got a roof over his head and clothes on his back. What more does he need?" Anger surges through me, hot and fierce. "He needs love, Jonah. He needs attention and care. He needs parents who put him first." Marla laughs, a harsh, grating sound. "Love doesn't pay the bills, Mom. We're doing the best we can. Now, are you going to help us or not?" I take a deep breath, trying to calm the rage that threatens to consume me. "No, Marla, I'm not going to help you. Not until you start being the parents Theo deserves." Their faces twist with anger, and Jonah takes a step forward, his fists clenched. "You don't get to tell us how to raise our kid, old woman. We're his parents, not you." I stand my ground, meeting his gaze head on. "Parents, you don't deserve to call yourselves that. Theo has been here for months, and not once have you checked on him. Not once have you asked about his well-being." Marla rolls her eyes, her lips curled in a sneer. "He's just a kid, Mom. He doesn't know what he wants. We're the adults here." I shake my head, my heart breaking for the child they've so carelessly cast aside. "Theo knows exactly what he wants, Marla. He wants love, he wants attention, he wants to feel like he matters." Jonah laughs, a cold, cruel sound. "Love isn't going to pay our bills or put food on the table. We need money, and we need it now." I feel a surge of anger so strong it nearly takes my breath away. "Get out of my house. Now." Marla's eyes widen and she takes a step back. "What?" "You heard me. Get out, and don't come back until you're ready to be the parents Theo deserves." Jonah's face turns red and he takes a menacing step forward. "You can't do this. He's our kid, not yours." I stand tall, my voice steady and firm. "Watch me. I will do whatever it takes to protect Theo from your neglect and selfishness, even if it means going against my own daughter." Marla's eyes narrow, and she grabs Jonah's arm. "Come on, we don't need this. We'll find the money somewhere else." They storm out of the house, slamming the door behind them. I sink onto the couch, my heart racing and my hands shaking. I know I've just crossed a line, but I don't care. Theo's well-being is all that matters now. I hear a small voice from the doorway, and I look up to see Theo standing there, his eyes wide and frightened. "Grandma, are you okay?" I open my arms, and he runs into them, burying his face in my chest. I hold him tight, my heart swelling with love and determination. "I'm okay, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay, I promise." As I hold Theo in my arms, I know that I've just started a war. Marla and Jonah won't give up easily, and they'll do everything in their power to make my life a living hell. But I'm ready for the fight. I have the truth on my side, and I have the love of a child who deserves so much better. I will not back down. I will not let them win. I will fight for Theo's future, no matter what it takes. The confrontation with Marla and Jonah leaves me shaken, but more determined than ever. I know I need to act fast, to gather the evidence I need to protect Theo. I can't let them take him back. not when he's just starting to heal. I spend the next few days making phone calls and doing research. I hire a private investigator, a woman named Sarah, who comes highly recommended. She listens to my story with a sympathetic ear and promises to do everything she can to help. I've seen cases like this before, she says, her voice gentle but firm. Parents who prioritize their own wants over their child's needs. It's a tough battle, but it's one worth fighting. I nod, my heart swelling with gratitude. Thank you, Sarah. I don't know what I would do without your help. She smiles, patting my hand. You're doing the right thing, Celine. Theo is lucky to have you in his corner. With Sarah on the case, I turn my attention to documenting Theo's time with me. I start a journal, writing down every milestone and every happy moment. I take pictures of him laughing, playing, and thriving in my care. I also start to gather evidence of my own financial stability. I may be a retired school teacher, but I've always been careful with my money. I have a comfortable savings account and a paid-off mortgage. I can provide for Theo in ways that Marla and Jonah never could. Theo seems to sense the change in me, the newfound purpose that drives my every action. He starts to open up more, sharing his fears and his hopes for the future. Grandma, do you think I could be an artist someday? He asks one evening, as we sit together on the porch swing. I smile, my heart swelling with pride. Of course you can, sweetheart. You can be anything you want to be, and I'll be here to support you every step of the way. He leans his head against my shoulder, his small body relaxing into mine. I love you, Grandma. Thank you for taking care of me. Tears fill my eyes, and I wrap my arms around him, holding him close. I love you too, Theo. More than anything in this world. As the weeks pass, Sarah keeps me updated on her progress. She's managed to document Marla and Jonah's lavish spending habits, their frequent trips to expensive restaurants and exclusive clubs. She's also captured photos of Theo's old room, the bare walls and the empty fridge. It's clear that they're not providing for his basic needs, she says, her voice tight with anger. No child should have to live like that. I nod, my heart breaking all over again. What's our next step? Sarah takes a deep breath, her eyes meeting mine. We file for emergency custody. We present the evidence to a judge and show them that Theo is better off in your care. I feel a flicker of fear, but I push it down. I know this is the right thing to do. I know this is what Theo needs. Let's do it, I say, my voice steady and strong. Let's fight for Theo's future. That night, as I tuck Theo into bed, I make him a promise. I will always fight for you, sweetheart. No matter what happens, no matter what anyone says. You are my world, and I will do everything in my power to keep you safe and happy. He smiles up at me, his eyes shining with love and trust. I know you will, Grandma. You're my hero. I kiss his forehead, my heart swelling with a fierce, unshakable love. I may be just a grandmother, but I have the power to change Theo's life, and I will not rest until he has the future he deserves. The day I've been waiting for finally arrives. Sarah calls me, her voice tight with excitement. I have the evidence, Celine. It's even worse than we thought. I feel a chill run down my spine. I have my heart pounding in my chest. What did you find? I managed to get my hands on their bank statements and credit card bills. They've been spending thousands of dollars on designer clothes, expensive dinners, and lavish vacations. Meanwhile, Theo's school records show that he's been showing up to class in worn-out clothes and without lunch money. I close my eyes, my stomach churning with anger and disgust. That's not all, Sarah continues, her voice trembling with rage. I also got footage from a hidden camera I placed outside their house. It shows Marla and Jonah leaving Theo alone for hours on end, sometimes even overnight, while they're out partying and living it up. Tears fill my eyes and I grip the phone tighter. I knew it was bad, but this is unforgivable. We have more than enough evidence to file for emergency custody, Sarah says, her voice firm and determined. I'll start putting together the paperwork right away. Thank you, Sarah, I whisper, my heart swelling with gratitude. I don't know what I would do without you. You're welcome, Celine. Theo is lucky to have you fighting for him. I hang up the phone, my mind reeling with the weight of what I've just learned. I knew Marla and Jonah were neglectful, but seeing the proof laid out in front of me is a whole different level of horror. I take a deep breath, trying to calm the rage that courses through my veins. I know I need to be strong for Theo, to show him that he has someone in his corner who will never let him down. I find him in the living room, curled up on the couch with a book. He looks up when I enter, his eyes wide and curious. Is everything okay, Grandma? I sit down beside him, taking his small hand in mine. Everything's going to be okay, sweetheart. I have some news for you. He sits up straighter, his face etched with concern. What is it? I take a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. I've been working with a private investigator to gather evidence of how your parents have been treating you, and we've found enough to prove that you're better off living with me. His eyes widen and he squeezes my hand tighter. You mean I don't have to go back to them? I shake my head, my heart breaking at the relief in his voice. No, sweetheart, you never have to go back to them again. I'm going to fight for custody of you, to make sure you have a safe and happy home. Tears fill his eyes and he throws his arms around me, burying his face in my chest. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you so much. I hold him tight, my own tears falling freely. You don't have to thank me, Theo. You deserve so much better than what they've given you, and I'm going to make sure you get it. We sit like that for a long time, holding each other and crying tears of relief and joy. I know the road ahead won't be easy, that Marla and Jonah will fight me every step of the way. But I also know that I have the truth on my side and the love of a child who deserves the world. And I will not rest until he has the life he's always dreamed of. As the sun sets outside the window, casting a warm glow over the room, I feel a sense of peace wash over me. I may be just a grandmother, but I have the power to change Theo's life, and I will not let him down. The courtroom is packed, the air thick with tension and anticipation. I sit beside Theo, holding his hand tightly as we wait for the judge to enter. Sarah is on my other side, her presence a comforting reminder of the truth we're fighting for. Marla and Jonah sit across the aisle, their faces etched with anger and resentment. They glare at me, their eyes filled with a hatred that takes my breath away. But I refuse to back down, refuse to let them intimidate me. The judge enters and the room falls silent. He's an older man, with a kind face and a no-nonsense demeanor. He looks at Theo, his eyes softening with compassion. We're here today to determine the best interests of the child, Theo, he says, his voice firm but gentle. I've reviewed the evidence presented by both sides, and I must say I'm deeply troubled by what I've seen. He turns to Marla and Jonah, his face hardening. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, the evidence against you is overwhelming. Bank statements, credit card bills, and video footage all show a pattern of neglect and emotional abuse. You've consistently prioritized your own wants and needs over the well-being of your child. Marla stands up, her face flushed with anger. That's not true, she shouts, her voice shrill and desperate. We love Theo. We've always done what's best for him. The judge shakes his head, his eyes narrowing. The evidence says otherwise, Mrs. Johnson. You've left your child alone for hours, even days at a time. You've failed to provide him with basic necessities like food and clothing, and you've repeatedly ignored his emotional needs in favor of your own selfish desires. Jonah stands up, his fists clenched at his sides. This is all her fault, he yells, pointing at me. She's poisoned Theo against us. She's just a bitter old woman who wants to steal our son. I feel Theo flinch beside me, and I squeeze his hand tighter. The judge turns to me, his face softening. Miss Celine, I've reviewed the documentation you've provided of your time with Theo. It's clear that you've provided him with a stable, loving home. You've put his needs first, and you've given him the emotional support he so desperately needs. Tears fill my eyes and I nod, my voice trembling. I love Theo with all my heart. All I want is for him to have the life he deserves. The judge nods, his face etched with determination. And that's exactly what he's going to get. He turns back to Marla and Jonah, his voice firm and uncompromising. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I'm granting full custody of Theo to his grandmother, effective immediately. You will have supervised visitation once a month, but only if Theo wants to see you. And you will be required to attend parenting classes and therapy sessions to address your neglectful behavior. Marla collapses into her seat, her face buried in her hands. Jonah stands there, his mouth hanging open in shock. The judge turns to Theo, his face softening once again. Theo, I want you to know that none of this is your fault. You are a brave, wonderful child, and you deserve all the love and happiness in the world. Your grandmother is going to take good care of you, and you never have to worry about being neglected or forgotten again." Theo looks up at me, his eyes shining with tears. "Thank you, Grandma," he whispers, his voice choked with emotion. "Thank you for fighting for me." I wrap my arms around him, holding him close as the tears stream down my face. "I will always fight for you, sweetheart. Always." As we leave the courtroom, hand in hand, I feel a sense of relief wash over me. The battle is won, but the healing has just begun. I know there will be tough days ahead, moments when Theo's pain and trauma will threaten to overwhelm him, but I also know that I will be there for him every step of the way. I will love him, support him, and guide him towards the bright future he deserves, and I will never, ever let him forget how much he is loved. The days after the custody hearing are a whirlwind of activity. Theo and I settle into a new routine, one filled with laughter, love, and endless possibilities. We enroll him in a new school, one with a strong arts program and a nurturing environment. Theo thrives in his new surroundings, his confidence growing with each passing day. He makes new friends, joins the school's art club, and even starts taking piano lessons. I watch with pride as he blossoms into the happy, healthy child he was always meant to be. But the scars of his past are never far from the surface. There are nights when he wakes up screaming, his nightmares filled with the echoes of Marla and Jonah's neglect. There are moments when he flinches at loud noises or unexpected touches, his body still remembering the trauma he endured. But through it all, I am there for him. I hold him when he cries, soothe him when he's scared, and remind him every day of how loved and valued he is. Slowly but surely, the wounds begin to heal, and the light returns to his eyes. Marla and Jonah, on the other hand, face the consequences of their actions. The judge's ruling sends shockwaves through our small town, and soon the whispers begin. People who once admired them for their wealth and status now look at them with disgust and contempt. They lose friends, business deals, and their once pristine reputation. Marla tries to play the victim, spinning tales of how I stole her child and ruined her life. But no one believes her, not when the evidence of her neglect is so clear. Jonah, unable to handle the shame and humiliation, leaves town in the middle of the night, never to be seen again. Marla is left alone, a shell of the woman she once was. I almost feel sorry for her until I remember the pain she inflicted on her own child. Months pass and life settles into a new normal. Theo and I create new traditions, new memories to replace the painful ones of his past. We have movie nights and game nights, weekend hikes, and lazy Sundays spent painting in the backyard. And then one day, something remarkable happens. Theo comes home from school, his face flushed with excitement. "Grandma, guess what? My artwork is going to be featured in the school's art show." I feel a surge of pride so strong it nearly takes my breath away. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you." He beams at me, his eyes shining with joy. "I couldn't have done it without you, Grandma. You believed in me when no one else did." Tears fill my eyes and I pull him into a tight hug. "I will always believe in you, Theo. Always." The night of the art show arrives, and Theo's piece is the star of the show. It's a beautiful painting of a phoenix rising from the ashes, its wings spread wide against a blazing sky. The symbolism is clear, and it takes my breath away. As we stand there admiring his work, a familiar voice cuts through the crowd. "Theo? Is that you?" We turn to see Marla standing there, her face etched with a mix of shock and longing. Theo stiffens beside me, his hand reaching for mine. "What are you doing here?" I ask, my voice cold and unforgiving. Marla takes a step forward, her eyes filled with tears. "I wanted to see my son's artwork. I wanted to tell him how proud I am of him." Theo looks up at me, his face conflicted. I squeeze his hand, giving him the strength he needs. "You lost the right to be proud of me when you abandoned me," he says, his voice trembling but strong. "Grandma is my family now. She's the one who loves me and takes care of me." Marla's face crumples, and she nods, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "I know, and I'm sorry, Theo. I'm so sorry for everything." She turns to walk away, but Theo's voice stops her. "I forgive you, Mom, but I can't forget what you did. I hope you find peace, but I've already found mine." As we watch her walk away, I feel a sense of closure wash over me. The past will always be a part of us, but it doesn't define us. Theo is living proof of that. We may have started as two broken souls, but together we've created something beautiful. A family built on love, trust, and the unshakable bond between a grandmother and her grandson. And as we walk out of the art show, hand in hand, I know that no matter what the future holds, we'll face it together. Always. I never thought I'd be in this position, standing in our living room, my heart pounding as I confront my husband of 10 years. Trent's voice echoes from the kitchen, his laughter grating on my nerves as he boasts over the phone about his latest financial scheme. You wouldn't believe how easy it was to pull one over on her, he chuckles. Aaliyah's so focused on her little part-time job at the library, she has no idea what I've been doing with our money. My blood boils as I listen to him mock my efforts to contribute to our household. I step into the kitchen, my eyes narrowed. What exactly have you been doing with our money, Trent? He spins around, his expression shifting from surprise to annoyance. I've got to go, he mutters into the phone before hanging up. What's with the interrogation, Aaliyah? I'm just trying to make sure we're set for the future. By manipulating our finances behind my back? I counter, my voice rising. We agreed on a plan, Trent. What happened to saving for our retirement, for our kids' education? He scoffs, waving his hand dismissively. Your little library job isn't going to cut it, Aaliyah. I'm the one bringing in the real money here. If you want to be useful, why don't you quit and focus on taking care of the house? His words cut deep, but I refuse to back down. I may not make as much as you, but my job matters to me, and I have a right to know what's happening with our finances. Trent steps closer, his face hardening. You don't need to worry about that. I've got it under control. Just trust me and stay in your lane. I shake my head, anger and betrayal coursing through me. I can't do that, Trent. Not when you're hiding things from me and making decisions that affect both of us without my input. He throws his hands up in exasperation. You're being ridiculous, Aaliyah. I'm doing what's best for us, even if you can't see it. No, you're doing what's best for you, I retort, and I won't stand for it anymore. Trent's eyes narrow. What are you saying? I take a deep breath, my resolve strengthening. I'm saying that if you can't be honest with me and treat me as an equal partner, then maybe we need to rethink this marriage. He stares at me, his mouth agape. You can't be serious. I am, I say firmly. I won't be manipulated and belittled any longer. If you can't respect me and our agreements, then I'll have to find a way to protect myself and my future. Trent's face reddens, his fists clenching at his sides. You're making a mistake, Aaliyah. You need me. I meet his gaze, my voice steady. No, Trent, I need honesty, respect, and a partner who values me. And if you can't give me that, then I'll find my own way forward. With that, I turn and walk out of the kitchen, my heart racing, but my spirit unbroken. I know the road ahead won't be easy, but I refuse to let Trent's betrayal define me. I'll fight for my independence and reclaim the life I deserve, no matter what it takes. The hum of conversation fills the air as I step into my in-laws' backyard, the scent of barbecue wafting by. It's a typical family gathering, but the weight of my confrontation with Trent still lingers heavily on my mind. I spot his sister Marla and make my way over, hoping to find an ally in the midst of this turmoil. Marla, can I talk to you for a moment? I ask, my voice low. She turns, her brow furrowing at my serious tone. Sure, Aaliyah. What's up? I glance around, ensuring we have some privacy. It's about Trent. I recently found out he's been hiding things from me, making financial decisions behind my back. Marla's expression shifts, a flicker of discomfort crossing her face. Oh, I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding, Aaliyah. You know how Trent is, always trying to do what's best for the family. I shake my head, frustration bubbling up inside me. No, Marla, it's more than that. He's been manipulating our finances, putting our future at risk. I need your support in this. She averts her gaze, fidgeting with her drink. I don't know, Aaliyah. Trent's mentioned some things about your spending habits. Maybe you two just need to communicate better. My jaw clenches, realization dawning on me. What exactly has Trent been saying about me? Marla hesitates, her discomfort palpable. He's just concerned, Aaliyah. He says you've been irresponsible with money, that your job at the library isn't contributing enough. Anger surges through me, my voice rising. That's not true, Marla. I've been nothing but responsible. Trent's the one who's been lying and hiding things. She takes a step back, her eyes widening at my outburst. Calm down, Aaliyah. I'm sure Trent has his reasons. Maybe you're just overreacting. I stare at her in disbelief, the sting of betrayal intensifying. Overreacting? My husband is spreading lies about me to his own family, and you think I'm overreacting? Marla shifts uncomfortably, glancing around at the other family members who are starting to take notice of our heated exchange. Look, Aaliyah, I don't want to get in the middle of this. You and Trent need to work it out yourselves. I laugh bitterly, shaking my head. I came to you for support, Marla. I thought you, of all people, would understand, but I see now that Trent has you all fooled. She opens her mouth to respond, but I hold up my hand, cutting her off. Save it. I don't need your judgment or your excuses for Trent's behavior. I'll handle this on my own. I turn on my heel, ignoring the curious stares from the rest of the family as I make my way back inside the house. My heart pounds in my chest, a mixture of anger and determination coursing through me. I find Trent in the kitchen, laughing with his brother. He looks up as I approach, his smile fading at the sight of my expression. Aaliyah, what's wrong? What's wrong? I echo, my voice trembling with barely contained rage. What's wrong is that you've been lying to your family about me, painting me as some irresponsible spender, while you hide your own financial misdeeds. Trent's face hardens, his eyes narrowing. I don't know what you're talking about, Aaliyah. I've only ever tried to protect you, to do what's best for us. I scoff, my hands curling into fists at my sides. Protect me? By undermining me and spreading lies? No, Trent, you're only protecting yourself and your own selfish interests. He takes a step towards me, his voice lowering. Be careful what you say, Aaliyah. You don't want to make a scene in front of everyone. I meet his gaze, my resolve unwavering. I'm done being careful, Trent. I'm done letting you control the narrative. From now on, I'm taking control of my own life, my own future, and I won't let you or anyone else stand in my way. With that, I brush past him, ignoring his calls for me to come back. I step out into the backyard, my head held high despite the whispers and stares. Let them talk, let them judge. I know the truth, and I won't be silenced any longer. The library has always been my sanctuary, a place where I can escape the chaos of my personal life and find solace among the stacks. But today, as I sit at my desk, my mind is far from the books that surround me. I can't shake the nagging feeling that Trent's deception runs deeper than I initially thought. I pull up our online banking statements, my eyes scanning the transactions. At first glance, everything seems normal, but as I delve deeper, I notice a series of large withdrawals that I don't recognize. My heart sinks as I realize the money has been transferred to an account I've never seen before. With trembling fingers, I dial the bank's customer service number. After a series of automated prompts, I finally reach a representative. Hello, my name is Aaliyah Thompson. I'm calling about some unusual activity on my account. The representative asks for my information and pulls up my account. Miss Thompson, I see a recent transfer to an investment account. Was this not authorized by you? I take a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. No, it wasn't. Can you tell me more about this investment account? There's a pause on the other end of the line. I'm sorry, Miss Thompson, but the account is not in your name. It appears to be a business account opened by a Trent Thompson. My stomach drops, a wave of nausea washing over me. A business account? What business? The representative hesitates. I'm afraid I can't disclose that information, as you're not listed on the account, but I can tell you that a significant sum was recently transferred from your joint account to this business venture. I close my eyes, the pieces falling into place. Trent's secrecy, his dismissal of my concerns, his lies to his family. It all makes sense now. He's been using our money, my money, to fund some secret project behind my back. Anger courses through me, hot and intense. I thank the representative and hang up, my mind racing. I need proof, something tangible to confront Trent with. I can't let him get away with this. I spend the next hour combing through our financial records, printing out statements, and highlighting the suspicious transactions. By the time I'm done, I have a stack of evidence that even Trent can't deny. I'm just gathering my things to leave when a familiar voice cuts through the quiet of the library. Aaliyah, we need to talk. I look up to see Trent standing in the doorway, his expression a mixture of anger and annoyance. I'm busy, Trent. Can't this wait? He strides over to my desk, his eyes narrowing. No, it can't. I just got a call from the bank about you snooping around in our accounts. What the hell are you doing? I stand up, squaring my shoulders. I'm doing what you should have been doing all along, Trent, being honest and transparent about our finances. He scoffs, rolling his eyes. Oh, please, you're just being paranoid. I told you, I have everything under control. I slam the stack of papers down on the desk, the sound echoing through the empty library. Under control? Is that what you call taking out a second mortgage on our home without telling me? Is that what you call funneling our money into some secret business account? Trent's face pales, his mouth falling open. How did you? It doesn't matter how I know, Trent. What matters is that you've been lying to me, betraying my trust, and putting our future at risk. He takes a step back, his expression hardening. You don't understand, Elia. This business venture is going to change everything for us. I'm doing this for you, for our family. I laugh bitterly, shaking my head. No, Trent, you're doing this for yourself, and I won't stand by and watch you destroy everything we've built together. I gather up the papers, stuffing them into my bag. I'm going to find out exactly what you've been up to, Trent, and when I do, there will be consequences. With that, I brush past him, ignoring his calls for me to come back. I've had enough of his lies and manipulations. It's time for me to take control and fight for what's rightfully mine. The coffee shop is bustling with activity as I slide into a booth, my hands wrapped tightly around a steaming mug. Across from me sits my best friend, Sarah, her eyes filled with concern as she takes in my haggard appearance. Elia, what's going on? You sounded so upset on the phone. Sarah reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. I take a deep breath, the events of the past few days spilling out in a rush. It's Trent. He's been lying to me, Sarah. He took out a second mortgage on our house without telling me and has been funneling money into some secret business account. Sarah's eyes widen, her mouth falling open. Oh my God, Elia, that's terrible. What are you going to do? I shake my head, feeling overwhelmed. I don't know. I have proof of what he's been doing, but I don't know how to confront him without things getting ugly. Sarah leans forward, her expression determined. You can't let him get away with this, Elia. You need to protect yourself and your assets. I nod, knowing she's right. I've been documenting everything, gathering evidence, but I feel like I need more support, someone who can guide me through this process. Sarah thinks for a moment, then snaps her fingers. I know someone who might be able to help. My cousin went through a nasty divorce last year, and she worked with this amazing financial advisor. Let me give her a call and see if she can recommend someone. Relief washes over me, grateful for Sarah's support. Thank you, Sarah. I don't know what I'd do without you. She smiles, squeezing my hand again. That's what friends are for, Elia. We'll get through this together. A few days later, I find myself sitting in the office of a highly recommended financial advisor, Mr. Henderson. He listens intently as I outline my situation, his expression growing more serious with each revelation. Mrs. Thompson, I must say, your husband's actions are highly concerning. Taking out a second mortgage without your knowledge and investing in a business without your consent is a clear violation of your financial agreement. Mr. Henderson frowns, shaking his head. I nod, my stomach twisting. I know. I just don't know how to confront him without things escalating. Mr. Henderson leans forward, his voice calm but firm. The first step is to secure your own finances. I recommend opening a separate bank account in your name only and transferring a portion of your joint assets into it. This will ensure that you have access to funds should your husband attempt to freeze your accounts. I make a note, my hand trembling slightly. Okay, I can do that. What else? You mentioned that you have evidence of your husband's financial misdeeds. I strongly advise making copies of all relevant documents and storing them in a secure location, such as a safety deposit box. This will be crucial in building a case against him. I nod, feeling a sense of empowerment. I've been doing that. I have statements, receipts, everything. Mr. Henderson smiles, his eyes kind. Good. You're already taking the right steps, Mrs. Thompson. I know this is a difficult situation, but you're not alone. I'll be here to guide you through the process and help you protect your financial future. I leave Mr. Henderson's office feeling a renewed sense of determination. I know the road ahead won't be easy, But with allies like Sarah and Mr. Henderson by my side, I feel ready to face whatever challenges come my way. That evening, as I sit at the kitchen table, surrounded by piles of financial documents, Trent walks in, his eyes narrowing at the sight. "What's all this?" he asks, his voice tight. I look up, meeting his gaze steadily. "This is me taking control of my life, Trent. I know about the second mortgage, the secret business account, and I won't let you destroy our future any longer." Trent's face reddens, his fists clenching at his sides. "You have no idea what you're talking about, Aaliyah. I'm doing what's best for us, even if you can't see it." I stand up, squaring my shoulders. "No, Trent, you're doing what's best for you, and I won't be a part of it anymore." I gather up the documents, brushing past him. "I'm fighting back, Trent, and I won't stop until I've reclaimed what's mine." With that, I walk out of the room, leaving Trent stunned and silent behind me. The battle lines have been drawn, and I'm ready for war. The sun is barely peeking through the curtains as I sit at the kitchen table, a stack of papers and a cup of coffee in front of me. I've been up for hours, going over the evidence I've gathered against Trent. Bank statements, receipts, emails, all painting a damning picture of his deceit and betrayal. I'm jolted from my thoughts by the sound of the front door opening. Trent strolls in, whistling off-key, his face breaking into a smile when he sees me. "Morning, babe. You're up early." I take a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation to come. "We need to talk, Trent." His smile falters, his eyes darting to the papers on the table. "What's all this?" I stand up, crossing my arms. "This is evidence, Trent. Evidence of your lies and your financial infidelity." Trent's face hardens, his posture defensive. "I don't know what you're talking about, Aaliyah. I've been nothing but honest with you." I scoff, shaking my head. "Really? Then how do you explain the second mortgage you took out on our house without telling me? Or the secret business account you've been funneling our money into?" He takes a step back, his eyes widening. "How did you—" "It doesn't matter how I know, Trent. What matters is that you've been lying to me, hiding things from me, and I won't stand for it anymore." Trent's expression shifts, his mouth twisting into a sneer. "You don't understand, Aaliyah. I'm doing this for us, for our future. You should be grateful." I laugh bitterly, tears stinging my eyes. "Grateful? For what? For you putting our financial security at risk? For you betraying my trust and treating me like I'm nothing more than an inconvenience?" He takes a step towards me, his voice lowering. "Watch yourself, Aaliyah. You don't want to push me too far." I stand my ground, meeting his gaze head-on. "No, Trent. You're the one who's gone too far, and I'm done being your doormat." I gather up the papers, shoving them into a folder. "I've hired a private investigator, Trent, someone who's going to dig into every dirty little secret you've been hiding." Trent's face pales, his hands clenching into fists. "You're making a mistake, Aaliyah. You don't want to go down this road." I brush past him, grabbing my purse. "The only mistake I made was trusting you, but that ends now." I head for the door, my heart pounding in my chest. I'm halfway out when Trent's voice stops me. "You'll regret this, Aaliyah. I promise you that." I turn back, my eyes blazing. "The only thing I regret is wasting so many years on a lying, manipulative bastard like you." With that, I slam the door behind me, the cool morning air hitting my face. I take a deep breath, feeling a sense of liberation wash over me. I know the road ahead won't be easy, but I'm ready to fight for what's mine. Later that day, I find myself in the office of the private investigator I've hired, a no-nonsense woman named Joan. She listens intently as I outline my suspicions, her pen scratching across a notepad. "Based on what you've told me, Mrs. Thompson, it sounds like your husband has been engaging in some serious financial misconduct." Joan looks up, her eyes serious. I nod, my stomach twisting. "I need proof, Joan, something concrete that I can use against him." She nods, leaning back in her chair. "I'll dig into his financials, his business dealings. If there's anything shady going on, I'll find it." I feel a sense of relief wash over me, grateful to have someone on my side. "Thank you, Joan. I don't know what I'd do without your help." She smiles, her eyes kind. "You're doing the right thing, Mrs. Thompson. Standing up for yourself, fighting back. It takes a lot of courage." I leave Joan's office feeling empowered, ready to face whatever challenges come my way. I know that with the evidence we gather, I'll be able to confront Trent and reclaim what's rightfully mine. That night, as I lie in bed, I can't help but feel a sense of anticipation. The wheels are in motion, and soon Trent will have to answer for his actions. I close my eyes, a smile playing at my lips. The game is on, and I'm playing to win. The mediator's office is cold and sterile, the fluorescent lights casting a harsh glare on the conference table. I sit across from Trent, my hands clasped tightly in my lap, a thick folder of evidence resting in front of me. He looks haggard, his usually polished appearance replaced by dark circles and a rumpled suit. The mediator, a stern-looking woman in her 50s, clears her throat. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, we're here today to discuss the terms of your divorce and the division of assets. I understand that there have been some disputes regarding finances. I nod, my voice steady. That's correct. My husband has been engaging in financial fraud and deceit, hiding assets and taking out loans without my knowledge or consent. Trent scoffs, rolling his eyes. That's ridiculous. I've done nothing wrong. I open the folder, pulling out a stack of documents. I have proof, Trent. Bank statements, emails, receipts, all showing the money you've been funneling into your secret business account. The mediator takes the documents, her eyes scanning the pages. These are serious allegations, Mr. Thompson. Do you have anything to say in your defense? Trent shifts in his seat, his eyes darting around the room. Those documents are taken out of context. I was simply trying to secure our financial future. I laugh bitterly, shaking my head. By lying to me? By putting our home at risk with a second mortgage? No, Trent. You were only looking out for yourself. He leans forward, his face twisting with anger. You have no idea what you're talking about, Aaliyah. You've never understood the sacrifices I've made for this family. I meet his gaze, unflinching. The only thing you've sacrificed is your integrity, Trent, and I won't let you get away with it any longer. The mediator holds up her hand, silencing us both. Mrs. Thompson, you mentioned having evidence gathered by a private investigator. May I see that as well? I nod, pulling out another stack of papers. This is just the tip of the iceberg. My investigator uncovered a pattern of financial misdeeds going back years. Secret investments, shell companies, all designed to hide assets from me. Trent's face pales, his hands clenching into fists. You had no right to dig into my private affairs, Aaliyah. This is a violation of my privacy. I scoff, rolling my eyes. You gave up your right to privacy the moment you started lying to me, Trent. The moment you betrayed our marriage vows. The mediator looks up from the papers, her expression grave. Mr. Thompson, in light of this evidence, I strongly advise you to come clean and agree to a fair division of assets. Continuing to deny wrongdoing will only make matters worse for you in court. Trent's jaw clenches, his eyes flashing with anger. This is all a misunderstanding. I won't be bullied into giving up what's rightfully mine. I lean forward, my voice low and steady. What's rightfully yours? You mean the money you stole from our joint accounts? The home you put at risk with your lies? No, Trent. You've forfeited any claim to those things. The mediator nods, her tone firm. Mrs. Thompson is correct, Mr. Thompson. Based on the evidence presented, you have engaged in serious financial misconduct. If you continue to contest the division of assets, I will have no choice but to recommend that this case proceed to trial, where a judge will likely rule in your wife's favor. Trent's shoulders slump, defeat etched on his face. Fine. What are your terms, Aaliyah? I sit back, a sense of triumph washing over me. I want the house free and clear. I want a fair division of our savings and investments, and I want you to sign over your interest in the secret business account to me. He nods, his voice barely above a whisper. Okay, you win, Aaliyah. I gather up my papers, standing to leave. No, Trent, we both lose, but at least now the truth is out there, and I can finally start rebuilding my life, free from your lies and deceit. As I walk out of the mediator's office, I feel a weight lift from my shoulders. The battle may be far from over, but for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of hope. I know that no matter what challenges lie ahead, I have the strength to face them head-on, armed with the truth and the knowledge that I fought for what was right. The courtroom is packed, the air thick with tension as I take my seat at the plaintiff's table. Trent sits across the aisle, his face a mask of barely contained rage. His lawyer, a shark in an expensive suit, leans over to whisper something in his ear. My own attorney, a fierce woman named Valerie, squeezes my hand reassuringly. Don't worry, Aaliyah. We have an airtight case. Trent's lies are about to catch up with him. The judge, a stern-looking man in his 60s, enters the courtroom, and we all rise. He takes his seat, shuffling through the papers on his bench. In the matter of Thompson v. Thompson, we are here today to determine the division of assets and to address the allegations of financial misconduct. Counsel, please proceed with your opening statements. Valerie rises, her voice clear and confident. Your Honor, we will prove that the defendant, Trent Thompson, engaged in a pattern of deceit and financial fraud, hiding assets and taking out loans without the knowledge or consent of his wife, Aaliyah Thompson. We have irrefutable evidence, including bank statements, email records, and testimony from a private investigator that will show the depth of Mr. Thompson's betrayal. Trent's lawyer stands, his voice smooth and oily. Your Honor, my client is a victim of a vindictive wife who will stop at nothing to ruin his reputation. The evidence presented is circumstantial at best and does not prove any wrongdoing on Mr. Thompson's part. The judge nods, his expression unreadable. Very well, let's hear from the witnesses. Over the next several hours, a parade of witnesses take the stand. The private investigator details the complex web of financial transactions Trent used to hide his assets. The bank manager confirms the second mortgage taken out on our home without my knowledge. Even Trent's former business partner testifies to the secret deals and shady investments. Through it all, Trent sits stone-faced, his jaw clenched tight, but as the evidence mounts, I can see the cracks beginning to form in his facade. Finally, it's Trent's turn to take the stand. He swaggers up to the witness box, his arrogance on full display. But as Valerie begins her cross-examination, his confident veneer begins to crumble. Mr. Thompson, can you explain why you took out a second mortgage on your family home without your wife's knowledge or consent? Valerie asks, her voice sharp. Trent shifts in his seat, his eyes darting around the room. I was just trying to secure our financial future. Aaliyah doesn't understand the sacrifices I've made for this family. Valerie scoffs, holding up a stack of documents. Sacrifices? You mean the money you funneled into your secret business account? The investments you made without your wife's input? Trent's face reddens, his fists clenching. Those investments were sound. I was going to make us rich. Valerie shakes her head, her voice dripping with disdain. Rich, while putting your family's home and financial security at risk? No, Mr. Thompson. The only person you were looking out for was yourself. As Valerie continues her relentless questioning, Trent's composure crumbles. He lashes out, his voice rising to a shout. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm the victim here, not her. The judge bangs his gavel, his voice booming through the courtroom. Order. Mr. Thompson, control yourself, or I will have you removed. In the end, the evidence is overwhelming. The judge rules in my favor, granting me the house and a significant portion of Trent's ill-gotten gains. Trent storms out of the courtroom, his face a mask of fury. As I stand on the courthouse steps, Valerie by my side, I feel a sense of relief wash over me. It's been a long, painful battle, but I've emerged victorious. Trent's lies and betrayal have been exposed, and I can finally start to rebuild my life on my own terms. I know there will be challenges ahead, but for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of hope. I've reclaimed what's rightfully mine, and I won't let anyone take that away from me again. The future is bright, and I'm ready to face it head-on. The sun streams through the windows of my new home, casting a warm glow on the hardwood floors. It's been 6 months since the divorce was finalized, and I've finally finished unpacking the last of the boxes. The house feels like a sanctuary, a place where I can start fresh and build the life I've always wanted. I'm just putting the finishing touches on my new home office when the doorbell rings. I open the door to find Sarah, a wide grin on her face and a bottle of champagne in her hand. Congratulations, Aaliyah. I can't believe you did it. Your own business, your own home. You're an inspiration. Sarah pulls me into a tight hug, her eyes misty with emotion. I laugh, feeling a sense of pride swell in my chest. I couldn't have done it without you, Sarah. Your support means everything to me. We settle onto the couch, sipping champagne and chatting about my plans for the future. I tell her about the small business loan I secured, using my portion of the settlement to fund my dream of opening a community bookstore. I never thought I'd be able to do something like this, Sarah, to take control of my life and create something that's truly mine. I shake my head, still in disbelief. Sarah nods, her expression serious. You've come so far, Aaliyah. I'm so proud of you. As we talk, my phone buzzes with an incoming text. I glance down, my stomach dropping as I see Trent's name on the screen. Can we talk? I need to see you. The message reads, his tone pleading. I show the text to Sarah, my hands shaking slightly. What do I do? I thought I was done with him. Sarah takes my hand, her voice firm. You don't owe him anything, Aaliyah. He lost the right to be a part of your life the moment he betrayed you. I nod, taking a deep breath. You're right. I'm not going to let him ruin this moment. I delete the message, feeling a sense of liberation wash over me. Trent may have been a part of my past, but he has no place in my future. A few weeks later, I'm standing in front of my new bookstore, a sense of pride swelling in my chest as I cut the ribbon at the grand opening. The community has rallied around me, filling the store with well wishes and eager customers. As I mingle with the crowd, I catch a glimpse of a familiar face in the back of the store. Trent stands there, his expression a mix of anger and desperation. I excuse myself from the conversation and make my way over to him, my heart pounding in my chest. What are you doing here, Trent? I thought I made it clear that I don't want to see you. My voice is steady, but I can feel my hands trembling slightly. Trent steps forward, his eyes pleading. Aaliyah, please, I made a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. I scoff, shaking my head. A mistake? Is that what you call lying to me for years? Stealing from our family? No, Trent. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. He reaches for me, but I step back, my voice rising. I've built a new life for myself, Trent, a life that doesn't include you, and I won't let you ruin that. Trent's face twists with anger, his fists clenching at his sides. You think you're better than me now? You think you can just cut me out of your life? I meet his gaze, unflinching. I know I'm better than the lies and the betrayal, and I know that I deserve more than what you gave me. I turn to walk away, but Trent grabs my arm, his grip tight. You'll regret this, Aaliyah. You need me. I wrench my arm free, my voice cold. No, Trent, I don't need you. I never did. With that, I walk back into the bookstore, my head held high. I'm surrounded by the people who love and support me, the people who have been there for me through thick and thin. As I look around at the smiling faces and the shelves filled with books, I feel a sense of contentment wash over me. I've overcome so much to get to this point, and I know that no matter what challenges lie ahead, I have the strength to face them head-on. I am Aaliyah Thompson, a survivor, a fighter, and a woman who has reclaimed her life. And nothing, not even the ghosts of my past, can take that away from me. The sun peeks through the curtains, casting a warm glow on the framed photos of my late husband John and our son Michael. It's been 5 years since John passed, and the house feels emptier with each day. I sip my coffee, lost in thought, when a sudden knock at the door startles me. I open it to find Eliza, Michael's ex-wife, standing there with a suitcase. Marge, I need your help, she pleads, her eyes welling up with tears. I hesitate, remembering the pain she caused Michael during their divorce. But seeing her like this, I can't turn her away. Come in, Eliza. What's going on? She steps inside, her designer heels clicking on the hardwood floor. I lost my job, and I have nowhere else to go. Can I stay with you for a while? Just until I get back on my feet. Something about her story doesn't sit right with me, but I nod. Of course, your family. You can stay in the guest room. Eliza hugs me, her expensive perfume overwhelming my senses. Thank you, Marge. You're a lifesaver. As she settles in, I can't shake the feeling that there's more to her story. She spends hours on the phone, speaking in hushed tones, and leaves the house at odd hours. When I question her, she brushes me off, saying she's job hunting. Days turn into weeks, and Eliza shows no signs of leaving. I notice new designer clothes in her closet and expensive jewelry on her dresser. How can she afford these things without a job? One evening I confront her. Eliza, I thought you were struggling financially, but I see you buying all these expensive things. What's really going on? She laughs, a harsh sound that sends a chill down my spine. Oh, Marge, you're so naive. I have my ways of getting what I want. I stand my ground, my voice firm. I won't have any illegal activities under my roof, Eliza. You need to leave. Her eyes narrow, and she steps closer, her voice low and threatening. You can't kick me out, Marge. I'm family, and if you try, I'll make your life a living hell. Fear grips my heart, but I refuse to let her see it. Get out of my house, Eliza. Now. She grabs her purse and storms out, slamming the door behind her. I sink into a chair, my hands shaking. What have I gotten myself into? That night I lay awake, my mind racing. I know Eliza won't give up easily. She's always been manipulative, even when she was married to Michael. I need to find a way to protect myself and my home. I think back to John's old police connections. Maybe they can help me gather evidence against Eliza without putting myself in danger. I make a mental note to reach out to his former partner, Dan, in the morning. As the sun rises, I feel a renewed sense of determination. I won't let Eliza destroy the peace I've worked so hard to build. I'll fight back, no matter what it takes. She may think she can control me, but she has no idea who she's dealing with. I am Marge Thompson, and I will not be intimidated in my own home. Over the next few weeks, Eliza makes herself at home in my house. She sleeps till noon, leaves her dirty dishes in the sink, and expects me to clean up after her. I bite my tongue, trying to keep the peace, but my patience is wearing thin. One afternoon, I come home from the grocery store to find Eliza lounging on the couch, surrounded by shopping bags from expensive boutiques. She barely acknowledges me as I put away the groceries. Eliza, I thought you said you were struggling financially, I say, trying to keep my voice calm. How can you afford all these new clothes? She rolls her eyes. Don't worry about it, Marge. I have my ways. I frown, a sense of unease growing in the pit of my stomach. What do you mean, your ways? Are you doing something illegal? Eliza sits up, her eyes narrowing. You know, for someone who's supposed to be helping me, you sure ask a lot of questions. Maybe you should mind your own business. I feel my anger rising, but I take a deep breath. This is my house, Eliza, and as long as you're living under my roof, it is my business. She stands up, grabbing her purse. Fine. If you're going to be like that, I'll just leave. I watch as she storms out of the house, slamming the door behind her. Part of me feels relieved, but I know this isn't the end. Eliza's not the type to give up easily. Later that evening, I'm washing dishes when I hear a knock at the door. I open it to find my neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, standing on the porch with a worried expression on her face. Marge, I hate to bother you, but I thought you should know, she says, her voice low. I've seen some strange people coming and going from your house late at night, and I've heard loud arguments too. Is everything okay? My heart sinks. I had no idea Eliza was causing trouble with the neighbors. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Johnson. My daughter-in-law has been staying with me, and we've had some disagreements. I'll talk to her and make sure it doesn't happen again. Mrs. Johnson nods, but I can see the concern in her eyes. Just be careful, Marge. I don't want to see you get hurt. I thank her and close the door, my mind racing. I need to find out what Eliza's up to before she drags me into something I can't get out of. The next morning, I wake up early and start searching Eliza's room. I know it's a violation of her privacy, but I can't shake the feeling that she's hiding something. As I rummage through her drawers, I find a stack of credit card statements with my name on them. My heart stops as I realize she's been using my identity to open new accounts and rack up debt. I confront her as soon as she walks in the door. How could you do this to me, Eliza? I trusted you and you betrayed me. She laughs, a cruel sound that sends shivers down my spine. Oh, please. You were so easy to fool. A little sob story, and you let me right in. You're pathetic, Marge. I feel my anger boiling over. Get out of my house, Eliza. I won't let you ruin my life like this. She smirks, crossing her arms. And what are you going to do about it? Call the cops? I'll just tell them you gave me permission to use your credit cards. It's your word against mine. I realize with a sinking feeling that she's right. She's backed me into a corner, and I don't know how to get out. But one thing's for sure. I won't let her win. I'll find a way to stop her, no matter what it takes. The situation with Eliza is getting out of hand. More neighbors have come to me, complaining about the noise and the suspicious characters hanging around my house at all hours of the night. I'm starting to feel like a prisoner in my own home. I've tried talking to Eliza, but she just brushes me off or gets defensive. I'm not doing anything wrong, she insists, her eyes flashing with anger. You're just being paranoid. But I know better. I've seen the evidence of her lies and deceit scattered throughout the house. Credit card statements, strange packages, and cash hidden in her room. I can't ignore it any longer. One evening, I decide to confront her once and for all. I wait until she comes home, stumbling through the door with a group of rough-looking men. The stench of alcohol and cigarettes fills the air. "Eliza, we need to talk," I say, my voice shaking with a mix of fear and anger. She rolls her eyes. "Not now, Marge, I'm busy." I stand my ground. "No, we're doing this now. I know what you've been up to, and it needs to stop. The lies, the stealing, the illegal activities, I won't have it in my house." Eliza's face twists into a sneer. "You don't know anything, you old hag. You're just jealous because I'm living my life while you're stuck in this boring, empty house." Her words cut deep, but I refuse to let her see how much they hurt. "This is your last chance, Eliza. Either you clean up your act, or you get out. I won't let you destroy everything I've built." She laughs, a harsh, grating sound. "You can't kick me out. I have nowhere else to go. And if you try, I'll make sure everyone knows what a horrible person you are. I'll tell them how you mistreated me, how you're just a bitter old woman who can't stand to see anyone else happy." I feel my anger rising, but I force myself to stay calm. "I'm not afraid of you, Eliza. I've dealt with worse than you in my life, and I won't let you bully me in my own home." She steps closer, her face inches from mine. "We'll see about that. You have no idea what I'm capable of." With that, she turns and storms out of the room, leaving me shaking with rage and fear. I know I can't let her win, but I'm not sure how to stop her. The next day, I find my tires slashed and my mailbox smashed. I have no proof it was Eliza, but I know in my gut that she's responsible. She's trying to intimidate me, to make me back down. But I won't give in. I've faced tougher challenges in my life, and I've always come out stronger. I start documenting everything, keeping a record of Eliza's actions and the damage she's causing. I know I'll need evidence if I want to get her out of my life for good. Late one night, I hear Eliza arguing with someone on the phone. She's yelling, her voice filled with anger and frustration. I creep closer, trying to make out what she's saying. "I don't care what it takes," she hisses. "I want that money, and I want it now. And if you don't get it for me, I'll make sure you regret it." My heart races as I realize the extent of her crimes. She's not just stealing from me. She's involved in something much bigger and more dangerous. I know I can't handle this on my own anymore. I need help, and I need it fast. With a heavy heart, I pick up the phone and dial the number of an old friend, someone I know I can trust. It's time to take action, before it's too late. I wait anxiously for Dan, my late husband's former partner, to arrive. When I hear the knock on the door, I rush to answer it, relief washing over me as I see his familiar face. "Marge, what's going on?" he asks, concern etched in his features. "You sounded upset on the phone." I usher him inside, glancing around to make sure Eliza isn't home. "It's my daughter-in-law, Eliza. She's been staying with me, and I think she's involved in something illegal." Dan's eyes narrow. "What makes you say that?" I take a deep breath and begin to explain everything. The late-night visitors, the overheard phone conversations, the evidence of theft and fraud. Dan listens intently, his face growing more serious with each revelation. "Marge, this is serious," he says when I finish. "If what you're saying is true, Eliza could be looking at some heavy charges. We need to gather more evidence and build a solid case against her." I nod, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. "I'm scared, Dan. She's made threats against me, and I don't know what she's capable of." He places a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Don't worry, Marge. I won't let anything happen to you. We'll get to the bottom of this, I promise." Just then, the front door slams open, and Eliza storms in, her face twisted with rage. "What the hell is going on here?" she demands, her eyes darting between me and Dan. I stand up, trying to keep my voice steady. "Eliza, this is Dan. He's here to help me deal with the situation you've gotten us into." She scoffs, rolling her eyes. "I don't need any help, especially not from some washed-up ex-cop. This is none of your business, so why don't you both just stay out of it?" Dan steps forward, his voice calm but firm. "I'm afraid it is our business, Eliza. Marge has evidence of your illegal activities, and we can't just ignore that. It's time to come clean and face the consequences of your actions." Eliza's face turns red, and she clenches her fists. "You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not doing anything wrong, and you can't prove otherwise." I shake my head, feeling a surge of anger. Stop lying, Eliza. I know about the stolen credit cards, the fraudulent charges, the shady deals. It all ends now. She takes a step towards me, her eyes blazing with fury. You think you can just kick me out and ruin my life? I won't let that happen. I'll make you pay for this, Marge. You'll regret ever crossing me. Dan moves between us, his hand on his hip where I know he keeps his gun. That's enough, Eliza. I won't let you threaten Marge any longer. You have two choices. Either you leave now and never come back, or we call the police and let them handle it. For a moment, Eliza looks like she might lunge at him, her face contorted with rage. But then she seems to think better of it, taking a step back and grabbing her purse. Fine, I'll go. But this isn't over, Marge. You'll see. You can't get rid of me that easily. With that, she storms out of the house, slamming the door behind her. I collapse onto the couch, my hands shaking with adrenaline and fear. Dan sits down beside me, his voice gentle. You did the right thing, Marge. I know it wasn't easy, but you stood up for yourself and for what's right. We'll make sure Eliza pays for what she's done. I nod, feeling a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. Thank you, Dan. I couldn't have done this without you. He smiles, patting my hand. That's what friends are for, Marge. We'll get through this together, no matter what. The next few days are tense, with no sign of Eliza. I can't help but feel like the calm before the storm, knowing that she's out there somewhere plotting her next move. I try to go about my daily routine, but I'm constantly on edge, jumping at every noise and shadow. Dan checks in on me regularly, offering his support and reassurance, but even his presence can't fully ease my fears. Late one night, I'm startled awake by the sound of shattering glass. I bolt up in bed, my heart pounding in my chest. I grab the baseball bat I've started keeping by my bedside and creep down the stairs, my hands shaking. As I round the corner into the living room, I see a figure standing by the broken window, silhouetted against the moonlight. I flip on the light switch, and my blood runs cold as I recognize Eliza's face, twisted with rage. What are you doing here? I demand, my voice trembling. I thought I made it clear that you're not welcome in my home anymore. She laughs, a harsh, grating sound that sends shivers down my spine. You really thought you could get rid of me that easily? I told you, Marge, you can't win against me. I always get what I want, one way or another. I grip the baseball bat tighter, trying to steady my nerves. I'm not afraid of you, Eliza. I won't let you intimidate me anymore. She takes a step towards me, her eyes glinting with malice. Oh, but you should be afraid, Marge. You have no idea what I'm capable of. I've ruined people's lives before, and I won't hesitate to do it again. I feel a surge of anger, fueled by the months of fear and frustration. I won't let you destroy my life, Eliza. I've worked too hard to build it, and I won't let you take it away from me. She lunges at me, her hands outstretched like claws. I swing the bat, feeling it connect with her shoulder with a sickening thud. She cries out in pain, stumbling backwards. You bitch, she screams, clutching her arm. You'll pay for that. I stand my ground, holding the bat in front of me like a shield. No, Eliza, you'll pay for what you've done. I've given you every chance to change, to make things right, but you've thrown it all away. Now you'll face the consequences of your actions. She glares at me, her eyes filled with hatred. This isn't over, Marge. I'll make you regret the day you ever crossed me. With that, she turns and flees out the broken window, disappearing into the night. I sink to the floor, my legs giving out beneath me as the adrenaline fades. I know that this is only the beginning, that Eliza won't give up until she's had her revenge. But I also know that I'm not alone in this fight. I have Dan, and the evidence we've gathered, and the strength of my own convictions. I pick up the phone and dial Dan's number, my hands still shaking. She was here, I say when he answers, my voice hoarse with emotion. Eliza broke into my house. I think it's time to take this to the police. Dan arrives within minutes, his face grim as he surveys the damage. You did the right thing, Marge. We have enough evidence to put Eliza away for a long time. She won't be able to hurt you anymore. I nod, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. I never wanted things to come to this, but I know that I can't let Eliza's toxicity poison my life any longer. As the police arrive and begin taking statements, I feel a sense of clarity wash over me. I know that the road ahead won't be easy, but I also know that I'm ready to face whatever challenges come my way. I am Marge Thompson, and I will not be broken. In the days following Eliza's violent outburst, I find myself constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for her to strike again. But as the weeks pass with no sign of her, I begin to wonder if perhaps she's finally given up. Still, I know better than to let my guard down completely. I meet with Dan regularly, discussing our plans to gather evidence against Eliza and bring her to justice. I've called in some favors with my old contacts at the police department, Dan tells me over coffee one morning. They're willing to help us set up surveillance and track Eliza's movements. I nod, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. I just want this to be over, Dan. I'm tired of living in fear, always wondering when she's going to strike next. He reaches across the table and takes my hand, his eyes filled with understanding. I know, Marge, but we're going to make sure she pays for what she's done. You're not alone in this. I smile, feeling a surge of gratitude for his unwavering support. I don't know what I would do without you, Dan. You've been my rock through all of this. He grins, a mischievous glint in his eye. Well, what are friends for if not to help take down evil daughter-in-laws? We both laugh, the tension of the past few weeks momentarily lifted. It feels good to have a moment of levity amidst the chaos. Over the next few days, Dan and I worked tirelessly to gather evidence against Eliza. We set up hidden cameras around my house, hoping to catch her in the act of stealing or vandalizing. We also reach out to some of her former associates, people she's burned in the past. Many of them are more than willing to provide statements against her, eager for a chance at their own revenge. As the evidence mounts, I begin to feel a sense of hope, a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe, just maybe, we can finally put an end to Eliza's reign of terror. But even as we make progress, I can't shake the feeling that Eliza is still out there, watching and waiting for the right moment to strike. I find myself jumping at every noise, my heart racing at the slightest provocation. One evening, as I'm washing dishes in the kitchen, I hear a sound that makes my blood run cold. It's the creaking of a floorboard, the same one that always squeaks when someone steps on it. I freeze, my hands still submerged in the soapy water. I listen intently, straining to hear any other signs of movement. And then I hear it again, louder this time. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, moving towards the kitchen. I reach for my phone with shaking hands, ready to dial 911. But before I can even unlock the screen, a figure appears in the doorway, a silhouette backlit by the hall light. Hello, Marge. Eliza's voice is cold, dripping with malice. Did you really think you could get away from me that easily? I back away, my heart pounding in my chest. Eliza, please, don't do this. We can talk about this, find a way to resolve things peacefully. She laughs, a harsh, grating sound that sends shivers down my spine. It's too late for that, Marge. You've pushed me too far, and now you're going to pay the price. She takes a step towards me, her eyes glinting with a dangerous light. I glance around frantically, looking for something, anything to use as a weapon. My gaze lands on a heavy cast-iron skillet sitting on the stove. I lunge for it, my fingers closing around the handle just as Eliza reaches for me. I swing with all my might, feeling the satisfying crunch of metal against bone. Eliza cries out in pain, stumbling backwards. You'll regret that, she hisses, clutching her bleeding face. I'll make you suffer for this, Marge. I'll destroy everything you love, everyone you care about. But even as she speaks, I feel a sense of calm wash over me. I know that I'm not alone, that I have Dan and the evidence we've gathered on my side. No, Eliza, I say, my voice steady and strong. You're the one who's going to pay for your crimes. I'm not afraid of you anymore. After the confrontation with Eliza, Dan and I know that we need to act fast. We can't risk her catching wind of our plans and disappearing before we can bring her to justice. We decide to set a trap, using my house as bait. I'll pretend to leave for a weekend trip, giving Eliza the perfect opportunity to break in and steal from me once again. But this time, we'll be ready for her. Dan helps me set up hidden cameras throughout the house, connected to a live feed that he can monitor from a nearby location. As I pack my bags and make a show of leaving, I feel a mix of nervousness and excitement. I know that this is a risky plan, but I also know that it's our best chance at catching Eliza red-handed. I drive to a nearby hotel where I'll be staying for the next few days. Dan and I stay in constant communication, keeping each other updated on any developments. For the first day, there's no sign of Eliza. I try to distract myself with books and television, but I can't shake the feeling of anticipation, the sense that something big is about to happen. And then, on the second night, I get the call from Dan. "She's here," he says, his voice tense with excitement. "She just broke in through the back door." I rush to his location, my heart pounding in my chest. When I arrive, he's already got the video feed up on his laptop screen. I watch as Eliza moves through my house, her movements furtive and quick. She rifles through my drawers and cabinets, stuffing jewelry and cash into a backpack. But then, something unexpected happens. Eliza starts talking to herself, muttering under her breath as she goes about her business. At first, I can't make out what she's saying, but as I listen closer, I realize that she's revealing her entire plan, laying out the details of her scheme like a villain in a movie. "Those idiots have no idea what's coming," she says, a smirk on her face. "Once I've drained Marge's accounts and sold off her valuables, I'll disappear without a trace. They'll never be able to find me." I look at Dan, my eyes wide with shock. "Are you getting this?" I whisper, hardly daring to believe our luck. He nods, a grin spreading across his face. Every word, she's just sealed her own fate. We continue to watch as Eliza moves through the house, spilling more and more of her secrets with each passing minute. She brags about the people she's exploited, the lives she's ruined without a second thought. And then, just when I think it can't get any better, Eliza starts talking about her next target. That old lady down the street, the one with the yappy little dog? She's next on my list. I bet she's got a fortune stashed away in that tacky little house of hers. I feel a surge of anger, mixed with a grim sense of satisfaction. Eliza has no idea that she's just given us everything we need to put her away for good. As she finishes up her raid and slips out the back door, Dan is already on the phone with the police. "We've got her," he says, his voice filled with triumph. "We've got all the evidence we need." I sink back in my chair, feeling a rush of relief wash over me. It's finally over. After months of fear and uncertainty, I can finally see a light at the end of the tunnel. I know that there's still a long road ahead, that Eliza will likely fight the charges with everything she's got. But I also know that I'm not alone in this fight, that I have Dan and the law on my side. And for the first time in a long time, I allow myself to feel a glimmer of hope, a sense that maybe, just maybe, everything is going to be okay. The day of Eliza's arrest is a blur of activity. Police swarm my house, taking statements and collecting evidence. I watch as they lead her away in handcuffs, her face twisted with rage and disbelief. "You think this is over?" she screams, straining against the officer's grip. "I'll make you pay for this, Marge. I'll find a way to make you suffer, even if it's the last thing I do." But even as her threats ring in my ears, I feel a sense of calm wash over me. I know that she's powerless now, that the law is on my side. In the days that follow, I work with Dan to secure my home and my finances. We change the locks, install new security systems, and freeze my credit to prevent any further fraud. It's a long and tedious process, but with each step I feel a little bit safer, a little bit more in control of my own life. And then finally, the day of Eliza's trial arrives. I sit in the courtroom, my heart pounding as the evidence is presented piece by damning piece. The surveillance footage from my house is played for the jury, showing Eliza's brazen theft and her unwitting confession. Witness after witness takes the stand, testifying to her cruelty and her callousness, and through it all, Eliza sits stone-faced, her eyes blazing with hatred every time they meet mine. But in the end, the verdict is unanimous. Guilty on all counts, with a sentence that will keep her behind bars for decades to come. As the judge reads out the decision, I feel a rush of emotion wash over me. Relief, certainly, but also a sense of sadness, a realization of all that has been lost. I think of the young woman Eliza once was, the bright and beautiful girl who captured my son's heart. I think of all the pain and suffering she's caused, the lives she's ruined in her relentless pursuit of greed and power. And I know that in the end, this is the only way it could have gone. The only way to stop her, to protect the people she would have hurt. As I leave the courtroom, Dan by my side, I'm surrounded by a sea of reporters and well-wishers. People I've never met, strangers who have followed my story and rooted for me every step of the way. I'm overwhelmed by their kindness, their support. I've spent so long feeling alone, feeling like I was fighting this battle by myself. But now, I realize that I was never really alone at all. In the weeks that follow, I start to piece my life back together. I reconnect with old friends, I take up new hobbies, I learn to find joy in the simple things again. And through it all, I carry with me the lessons I've learned, the strength I've found within myself. I know now that I am capable of standing up for myself, of fighting for what's right, no matter how hard it may be. One evening, as I sit on my porch with Dan, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold, he turns to me with a smile. "You know, Marge, you're one of the bravest people I've ever met," he says, his voice filled with warmth and admiration. I feel a blush creep into my cheeks, a flutter of something like happiness in my chest. "I don't know about that," I say, shaking my head. "I just did what I had to do." But even as I say it, I know that it's more than that. I know that I've found a strength within myself that I never knew I had, a resilience that has carried me through the darkest of times. And as I look out at the world before me, at the beauty and the promise of a new day, I know that I am ready for whatever comes next. Ready to face the future with courage and with hope, knowing that I am not alone, that I am loved and supported by the people who matter most. It's a new beginning, a chance to start fresh and to build a life that is truly my own. And I am ready to embrace it with open arms, ready to see what adventures lie ahead.